Hello everyone, I'm Dren Hatamata, and welcome back to Readings of Horror. Hope this will be an enjoyable experience. Make sure the chat works. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all you can do today. Okay? What can we do?
I hope everyone's doing well today. Shit. There you go. So, last time we left off, we were on I Need a Cigarette, where you finally got into the I's after going through all the H's. And the I's are relatively lengthy. I don't think we're going to get to the J's quite yet. That being said, we should continue. I've got some tea. Hopefully my voice won't break on me. However, I'm having kind of a late dinner. So, for what that's worth, yeah, I ended up undercooking some chicken nuggets. Luckily, we noticed before we actually swallowed much. Smaller ones were probably fine, but I had to recook them. We don't have an working oven. The stove's fine. So all we're doing is using the microwave, which does have convection and air fryer mode. Just gotta be careful and make sure it gets properly done. My lovely, lovely wolfman has gotten me some tea. So hopefully that'll help soothe my voice. Still seems a little boiling hot. Smells good, though. I'll let that cool off. Alright. Without further ado, we'll go on to the next one. I see you. Hello. I can see you. And you probably think, oh, it's just another story someone wrote in their mom's basement. It is not. More than likely, you are on an electronic device of some sort. That's all I need. Right now, as you are reading this, I'm sifting through your files. Yes, your device. You, the one reading this. I am reading your emails, looking at your digital photos and any image you may have downloaded off the net, opening your most private documents and having a good read, or a good laugh, depending on the context. To be honest, most of it is usually utterly boring. Except for a few files. You know the ones I mean. You know you don't believe me. I know you don't believe me. I prefer it that way. But think about this. Note, I will include dumbed down version at the end of this too, if this is too much to handle. Every computer has an IP address, which is basically the street address of your computer. If you think of it as a postal system, the return addresses is the return address to the internet as the post office. Your IP is supposed to be secure, but it is really not. In fact, here's proof. I'll just tell you who services your internet and your locations. www.infosniper.net locate IP on map. It was quite simple, really. Your router's firewall was a joke. And not even a funny... I'm not clicking on that link. Not even a funny one. The built-in firewall on your computer was another story, though. That held me up for a few heartbeats. I just slipped in a Trojan, and your computer was mine. Look at your webcam, if you have one. Now say cheese. I can see you. Just in case your webcam has light, I have a line of code that stops it. If not, it does nothing. If you don't have a webcam, it's okay. I just looked through your picture files of yourself. My, whatever you did with your hair, whoever did your hair should be fired. Anyway, you are never safe from the net. I could corrupt your hard drive, but I'm not that evil. I'll just leave no trace that I was here. By the way, if you didn't believe that the IP number was yours, just look it up on Google. I promise you'll get the same result. I have better things to do now, so I'll leave you alone. Just remember, I will be back. P.S. Here's the dumbed-down version I promised. Light up beepy thing has home. I know where home is. Light up beepy thing is not safe. So this is a string of one of the many pastas that end up bringing on the IP address scares. I don't know how far this one got, but this was one that happened a lot. It was in the Jeff the Killer, one of the Jeff the Killer pastas, if not the original. And I remember it scared the shit out of me because I didn't understand, but your IP address, for one thing, if you have a VPN, that means nothing. Your IP address is your internet provider. They have an address provided by your provider or whatever. It's really nonsensical. From what I remember, I believe there's a pattern to the numbers, so it's not, as far as I know, and like correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like you couldn't just find IP addresses generally, and like certain parts of the number are kind of like area codes, I believe. So it's not like it's unique, the idea of finding IP addresses, but when you come to firewalls and stuff and VPNs, then that kind of distracts from it, and trying to actually pinpoint where it's at is encrypted and coded in a way that it's not obvious. It's kind of like using your own system to torrent yourself somewhere else, I guess. If I'm understanding it right. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably am. Anyway, this is a non-thing. Just because they know your IP doesn't mean they can get into your computer. Like, there's more to it than that. Ooh. Ooh, I can clip this one. Let me go to the browser side. There we go. Refresh my creator dashboard. Make sure I'm up to date. Alright. This music doesn't feel appropriate. Oh, damn, let me smash. Okay. I wasn't expecting that, but hey, let me smash in the chats. There we go. It's my contribution to society. Actually, that one works. Get down there and let me do the thing. From here, okay. I see you. It's right in the corner of my eye. It mocks me. I know it's there, but I can't see it. It watches me. It watches me sleep. It's watching me right now. It tells me things, lies, secrets. It hurts so bad. It's waiting. It's waiting to take me home. It is going to kill me if I don't pull this trigger. It is behind you. I see you. All right. But I can't see it. From here, okay. I see you. It's right in the corner of my eye. It mocks me. I know it's there, but I can't see it. It watches me. It watches me sleep. It's watching me right now. It tells me things, lies, take me home. You just pull this trigger. It is behind you. I see you. I see you. Alright, that's good. Cool. I'm happy to make tiny clips. You know, is it weird that we are at a point where we can just put out clips like this? Oh, someone unfollowed. I have 32. I'll either fix it or wait for it to correct itself. Well, there's not like an auto. I don't think this has ever suffered from like the auto unfollow or auto unsubscribe or whatever. Did it? I'm just realizing that this cup was fixed at some point. Huh. Anyway. This one, I think the ending was just really abrupt. And it just... This feels like it was gonna... If I don't... I'm going crazy, and if I don't take this out, it will. And I'd rather end my own suffering. But no, it jumps behind you and tries to make it seem like it's you that it's after. Okay. I should have known better. I should have known better than to be poking around there, especially so close to dark. I should not have scoffed at the no trespassing sign on the fence. I should have known better than to jump the fence. I should have known better than to approach the abandoned shop. I definitely should have known better than to pull off the boards over the door. No matter how rotten they were and how easily they came off, I should have known better than to jimmy the door until it opened. I should have known better than to come without a flashlight, thinking my cell phone would throw enough light. I should have known better than to play with the old machinery, long since stationary without the industrial-grade current flowing through its motors. I should have known better than to pry open that box. I should have known better than to stare at what was in the box for too long. You should have known better than to follow me. Written by an unknown author. That's kind of neat. I like this one. How loud is that? Not that loud on your guys' side. It's a little loud on mine, but I'll be fine. I'm a big boy. I do like that it's actually pointed out to be an unknown author. Alright. That was a longer one. I wish I never did this. I wish I never did this. I shouldn't have done this. It led up to this, and I should not have done it. I was doing my ordinary sleeping schedule, but felt a little odd. I had been dazed into a dream world. In this dream, I was frozen stiff. I couldn't move, and I felt something pulling me, yanking me. Then I yelled. By the second yell, I couldn't yell because my hand went over my mouth. I was frozen with my eyes shut, hoping the dream would end. And then I woke up. But then I was pulled down by something I didn't know. But I didn't care. It was slim, bony, and a light brown color. It had busted teeth with a demonic smile, and I then woke up. I then woke up this time, taking a few deep breaths and going back to sleep. This was when insane things happened. The shame is the dream was a warning that I should never have done this. I should have never slept on my bed. Why did I do this? I don't know, but I regret it. I was just about to get back to sleep. Then the creature, that same damn creature, shook my bed and grabbed me, trying to get me under the fucking bed. It screeched in demand to get me. I was so scared, but then I stomped on its hand. After this, I got scared to death and stayed up the whole night in my living room. The next night, I attempted to sleep in the bed again. Boy, was this a bad idea. The fucking thing went into the closet, or at least that's what I thought at first glance. There were 2 of these horrible things, and I went to sleep. At about 1 a.m., I was woken up to a slight knocking that came from my closet. I thought, what the fucking hell, and just ignored it. After this, the thing under my bed said, "Hello, my pet." I barely heard it, but I knew there was 2 of these creatures. After this, I got scared, and now I just wanted to run, but I couldn't run. I was trapped. Just trapped, and I couldn't scream. I'm just waiting. I can see the one in the closet, getting ready to go with whatever he's ready to do with me. I see the one under the bed crawling out. And this feels like there needs to be a conclusion, I think. I mean, the assumption could be made, you know, he gets killed and probably devoured or some shit, but it leaves to a lot of ambiguity, so I really don't know. I would like to know what the ideal conclusion should be for this situation. That would help me to rationalize, like, oh, okay, what do the two creatures even want with this motherfucker? Oh, well, we need another D&D guy. Come on, man. Ice cloud. It was a very dark, snowy night. I needed to get home, so I can go to sleep, so I walked my regular path. I was walking, but something didn't feel right. I turned around to the sounds of whispers sliding past my ear. As I turned to look at the woods, my heart pounding, I saw white, bright blue eyes. Not only white, but blue also, brighter than car headlights. I turned around immediately, freaking the fuck out. I began running down my path. There's a problem though, my road is blocked off by trees. Where my house was is now forest. This can't be happening. There's no way this is happening. Freaking out, I started running through forest as whispers become faint, then return into a louder and faster pace. I can't be awake. Excuse me. Is what I thought to myself. As I was running, I failed to notice a stump in my path. Too scared to even look up, I rushed out of there. As I got up slowly, I realized most of my jacket was ripped. I ran, running as fast as possible. I found a gas station blocked up with wooden planks and blood-red handprints. I ran towards it to see the same eyes looking through the blood-red dyed window. I turned back, and there it was. A cold gust of wind threw me off my feet, pushing me back onto the floor. I blacked out. I woke up in the middle of the street next to the gas station from my dream, but this time it was perfectly normal. No blood, no wooden planks blocking the doorways. I rushed back down to the street to find my house. It was a different color. I came inside. Bless you! I came inside. The walls were dark black. I decided that after a long day to fall back asleep in my bed. I wake up and everything was back to normal, but what happened was too real to be a dream. I couldn't have imagined such a horrendous thing. I wonder what that image would actually look like. Like I can kind of get a guesstimation on what it should look like, but I would like to see like a producer make that. Well, that's an unsettling picture. Iceman. One day, a group of teenagers went on a 4-day hiking trip to the mountains of Canada. When Friday came around, they were packed and ready to go. The kids arrived at around 7:30 p.m. and set up their tents. They decided to go to sleep and hike early the next morning. They woke up at 5 and headed off. Unfortunately, There was a snowstorm, but being teenagers, they could care less about the weather. They headed down Trail A, but the snow blocked it and all the trails except for Trail D. It had been closed due to recent disappearances. They started their walk, and soon enough, they were lost and had no idea how to get back. They kept walking for hours on end, and when they finally came upon a cave, they decided to sleep there at that night. Big mistake. The oldest and his girlfriend woke up to blood-curdling screams. They looked in horror when they saw a man covered in ice. Not like a yeti, but it was like they literally could see the body trapped in the ice, as if a man decided to increase his endurance and power by freezing himself. It walked and it attacked as if it was human, but it had sharp ice claws that could easily tear flesh. The man seemed genuinely happy at this action of killing these kids. Only the boy and his girlfriend were left. They ran and ran until they came upon a cabin. Little did they know that this was the Iceman's cabin, in which they had performed the experiment. They checked his notes and found out that they could seal themselves in ice, thus protecting themselves from the beast. The boy cried as he crawled into the chamber and watched his girlfriend be brutally murdered. 5 years later, a skier stumbled upon a suspicious cabin. Inside the freezer, he found a body frozen in ice with blood on the floor and on the body itself. Unfortunately, scientists were unable to revive him. We may never know what happened that night. I can only assume by a bushcraft medic. That's kind of interesting. Is the ice itself a sentient being, whereas it's manipulating what's inside as a false host? Who knows? Ooh. Excuse me. Icy Mountain. Excuse me. Icy Mountain. A dark place, all alone in this cold, harsh, horrible terrain. I'm cold. God, please have mercy. I want out. Please help me. I hear the angels calling. They are cold too. Round and round, no matter where I am back at the start. Please let me out. I am in pain. I am ill. I don't know how long I can survive. Please, come here, he said. It will be fun, he said. He is dead. I ate him. I am sorry. Please, let someone find me. I am gaining materials, and will end it all. A sharp, thick rock is in my stomach, and is slowly killing me. Thank goodness it's over. But before I die, I should say, welcome to the Icy Mountain. That's interesting. I ate him. Alone in this cold, a dark place. A dark place. Icy Mountain. Icy Mountain. A dark place, all alone in this cold, harsh, horrible terrain. I'm cold. God, please have mercy. I want out. Please help me. It will be fun. Sharp, thick rock is in my stomach. It is slow. Before I die, I should say, welcome to the Icy Mountain. Welcome to the Icy Mountain. Welcome to the Icy Mountain. There we go. All right. Cool. That's done. Another one in the bank. Maybe this one gonna be done? If only he could hear me. I looked up to see him pull out his knife and raise it to his solid cheeks. The knife shone elegantly in his eyes and came closer and closer in magnitude to his face. I began to scream, and I realized he couldn't hear me. Just as I was screaming, I saw him scream in pain as the knife began to saw directly into his cheekbone. I could hear the cheek racing back and forth. Oh shit. The bone. The bone racing back and forth, sloshing around his face. If only he could hear me scream for him to stop. I saw his entire cheek flop around, solidly landing on the ground, and I looked down again as he screamed and looked down with me. He looked down with me. I looked up in the long, tall mirror again. If only he could hear me. Oh. I can do this one. I can do this one. If only he could hear me. I looked up to see him pull his knife out and raise it to his solid cheeks. The knife shone elegantly in his eyes and came closer and closer in magnitude to his face. I began to scream, and I realized he couldn't hear me. Just as I was screaming, I saw him scream in pain as the knife began to saw directly into his cheekbone. I could hear the bone racing back and forth, sloshing around his face. If only he could hear me scream for him to stop. I saw his entire cheek flop around, solidly landing on the ground. I looked down again as he screamed. He looked down with me. I looked up in the long, tall mirror. If only he could hear me. That's a good one. Directly into his cheek and raise it to his soul. If only he could hear me. If only he could hear me. If only he could hear me. There we go. If only he could hear me. I looked up to see him pull his knife out and raise it to his solid cheeks. The knife shone elegantly in his eyes and came closer and closer. Oh, you could hear me. There we go. I have this over here. Cool. That's done. Nice. Okay. Igniborak. I was looking at my video game collection for my Tetris copy that I couldn't find. I was looking at my video game collection for my Tetris copy and I couldn't find it. So I looked on eBay for a copy and found one that was cheap and bought it and a buy it now product. I looked at the information and for some reason there was no picture. I didn't care about it and went on and bought it. The moment later the mailman came and I got a package. I opened it up and apparently it was a Game Boy cartridge with a piece of paper on it. There was a marker printing that said Igni Barak. I put it in my Game Boy and realized Igni Barak was Korabienki spelled backwards. Korabienki is a song that plays during Twitch. Oh shit. I didn't know that. This was starting to creep me out. Why was all this strange stuff happening? I mean, the mailman bringing me the game right after I ordered it? The strange name on the cover? It was getting weird, but then it got weirder. Instead of the usual Nintendo logo appearing on the screen, it just went straight to the game. And the blocks were moving by themselves. I tried mashing the buttons. It didn't work. Soon the blocks stopped and they represented a pentagram. Then the message appeared. It said, "Keep track of your games." Then I noticed that there was no cartridge in the Game Boy at all. You lost another one! Jesus, kid! You literally had it in there and you still lost it. Man. These sons of bitches. You can't trust them with the damn thing. These gamers. My kid. Okay. I'll go ahead and just use... What's a generic name? We named our employees in Supermarket Simulator. So I think I'll just insert one of their names whenever I have an insert name here thing. I'll be watching. Hello, Ivan. How are you today? I think that new shirt you just bought looks nice on you. Maybe you could get me one just like it. Oh, and by the way, just by clicking on this link, I've now logged every one of your IPs and can track you. Good night. I'm not gonna record that one. That one's just like, eh. I could do that with like thousands of names. Oh man. How interesting would that be to do it with like tons of names and see if people spread them around? I mean, they're giving you a template for it. So, I don't know. That's a thing. Now, you can track IP addresses, I'm pretty sure. So you can, like, track a phone. But directly accessing it, I believe, is a whole different story. So. But you can be tracked. They can find your location. Alright. This one's called I'll Find You. I'm disappointed because nowhere in here is the Liam Neeson thing from Taken. And I will kill you. Yeah. Damn cable. It's 1,000 foot long. I got wrapped around a bunch of shit and it's still annoying. Alright. I'll find you. I already know where you are. I already know who you are. I know who you're with right now. I know who your friends are. I know what school you go to. I know what your name is. I know everything about you. Especially what you did to me. Well, us. Go to sleep. You must be tired. Ignore the people standing outside of your window. Ignore me, who is ranting on and on like a psychopath. Ignore the dark shadow creeping up on you. Good night, my love. Yeah. That's actually interesting. I like that one. Nice. I know what your name is. I already know. I'll find you. I already know where you are. I already know who you are. I know who you're with right now. I know ranting on and on like a psychopath. Night, my love. Good night, my love. I'll find you. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. That's the one good thing about all these. I can just make tons and tons of clips pretty easy because they're very short reads. Oh, this one's got a credit. I'm everywhere. Written by the official Uboa Trey. I am everywhere. I'm in the closet, under the bed, in the carpet, all throughout your house. I walk along your house floors, dirtying them with my limbs. Your food, I walk all over it. Your bathtub, I'm in it as well. Your bed? Of course. I'm always watching, and I'm everywhere you go. There's no place too small for me to follow you into. You cannot escape the minuscule sound of my legs treading throughout your hallways. Forever watching and waiting. I've been around forever, and I shall continue to live on, for there is not just I, there are many. We are always there. No matter what you do, you cannot escape. I am a house centipede. I am everywhere. That's kind of neat. That one was like a subjective thing, or the contrary to whatever words. There's another one of those ones that takes something normally mundane and makes it into something creepy. I can always appreciate that. And although I don't think this does it for me, I would say it's a good attempt. You have to make it seem as off-putting as possible, which isn't always very easy to do. I mean, that can be some tough work sometimes. Okay. All right. Ooh, text wall. Shit. I kind of want to get back into some cringy gaming creepypasta, but I want to get like the good ones, the good cringy ones. A glutton for punishment, I guess. I'm not alone. Captain, next location? Town. I walked past the burning ship, jumping onto the dock. My old ship was murdered, and they were able to ride back to land. We got off carrying flintlocks and blunderbusters. We were settled at our ship, rocking back and forth dead. I limped towards the town, looking at my surroundings for any more pirates looking to fight. When I got to the town, it was abandoned. No one was in the streets, no food sellers, no horses, just empty. When I came closer to the 10-foot gate, I saw a guard. But something was wrong with him. He was just bones, a corpse lying in defense position. Like he was trying to defend the town from something. I looked at the body again. It was white, like something had just took everything off of it. No meat was left over, and no decay was on the body. I looked at it again, walking in, but nothing. I walked into town, looking around once more, and found more dead corpses, but nothing was there, just a black mist in the sky. It started to rain. I could feel a stinging sensation on my body. I looked down at it to see that my hand was starting to disintegrate. I ran instead with my flintlock, watching the rain destroying the town. I just got out of the building when it stopped, and I continued walking down the street to the town hall where I expected the mayor to be there. Obviously he was, but he was just bones like the guard. I fell backwards as he got up screaming, chattering his bones. I kicked him in the leg and he fell down and tried to bite me. I just got up and fell out through the doorway. I got up and ran down the stairs where I encountered another zombie skeleton. I dodged his swipes and ran outside to see the gate closed in front of me. I ran towards it and ran, making it past the hair on my head. Getting trapped behind. I stood up, looking at the sky once again. It was about to rain again, so I looked back to town and walked along the coast. Zombies were running towards me. One of them had a sword and was coming at me. I wasted a bullet on him, shooting his rib with my flintlock. I ran up to him and grabbed his saber, which then I ran up to the coast some more. I sliced the zombies' heads off, still running towards the other town. I knew the dangers of leaving the city, but I had no other choice but to run away from them. I looked back, seeing an undead army behind me, tons of the freaks chasing me every 5 minutes. I saw no more adding to the chase. I saw more adding to the chase, and I had to keep going and going and going until I needed to stop for air. I looked ahead of me to see another town. I ran towards it, looking around it. Everything was normal, and I told the guards about the encounter. The guards lined up in front of the castle walls and guarded them. The zombies ran into them, tossing them out of the way, pushing them to the other ones. The zombies teared through the guards with ease and ran into town. I climbed up the gate and got lifted up into the gears. I was able to sneak out by climbing all the way up and jumping down. I made it to my old ship. Confused, I got into it. It looked fine, no damages. As I went inside and felt something, a large bite on chomp on my left shoulder. I turned to see one of them biting my skin and flesh. I gasped and sliced its chest. I ran to the deck and started to sail off. I saw my hands were turning into zombies slowly. I noticed the zombies lining up. I could understand them now. Captain, next location. Town. Ooh. Ooh. This is a good one. This is a good one to me. This came full circle. And now it's one of those things where you have to wonder, was it already like that? What was the beginning then? Does it become this endless cycle of... Or are you following a particular person? Was he already a zombie? And because you get to the point where you understand now, and now it's like, oh, now everything, this is the normal. Now you find these other zombies that you don't no longer perceive yourself as. Like, how do I do? Oh man, that's interesting. Damn. This is a good one. It's the grammar's not good, and it's a big text wall. But outside of that, if you spell checked it and everything, and separated it with a few, new paragraphs. Oh, this is a great one. Okay. I'm not Martin. Hello, my name is Sean. It's the end of October, and as any kid, I should be trick-or-treating with my friends, but my tonsils had to get infected on my 11th birthday on Halloween. What luck. I mean, you're only a kid once, right? So my parents and I are following the nurse down the hall to find my room. The halls have that scary hospital look to them, except they are decorated with orange and black streamers and paper jack-o'-lanterns. We're close to your room, Sean, said the nurse as we saw a child being dragged away by doctors while yelling, I'm not Martin! I'm not Martin! We entered the room, and my nurse showed me my bed with a clipboard on the ends reading Sean Franks. And a boy came back and got into his bed after his shot. His clipboard read Martin Charles. Great. I have him as a roommate. I asked the nurse what was wrong with him, and she whispered, he has to get his left foot amputated. He keeps trying to convince us that he's not himself. Poor child. Dinner came soon, and it happened that the spaghetti and meatballs, my favorite. After I was done eating, I struck conversation with Martin. Hey Martin, I said. I'm not Martin, he responded, as if he liked any sports, and said, Martin likes baseball, but I like football. He clearly was trying to make it as believable as possible, and that he wasn't Martin, even though he was. When is Martin's appointment? I asked. He responded, Martin is getting his foot cut off tomorrow morning. In a scared voice, I asked how old was he, and how old he was, and he said that he was 10. My throat was hurting too much, so I stopped speaking. We turned on some cartoons on the room's TV and we fell asleep. When I was sleeping, I had some strange dreams. One had me in the flowery plain with floating skeletons. Another had me in an upside-down world where everyone lived in upside-down houses and cars. The strangest of all was the one dream where I saw a kid replacing my clipboard with another. I also had a dream about this one girl I like. But let's not get into details. I got woken up on the clock and it was 7 a.m. There were 2 doctors over my bed, and the shorter one said, "Let's go, Martin. It's your surgery day." Confused, I said, "What? I'm not Martin." The taller doctor said, That's what they said you'd say." As the doctors dragged me away, I kept telling them that I wasn't Martin, but I had no luck. Before leaving the room, I saw my changed clipboard and a smile climbing up Martin's face. I think this one would be a good short clip, a good short video. I'd watch it. But this one does well enough. I'm okay. I feel as if no one knows about the world anymore. We ignore it, we take it for granted, and mock it, but why? Is there a reason? Do we understand what could happen? Of course not. Why would we do it? When we sit on our bed, limbless, faceless, and completely disappeared, do we realize what can and will happen? We just sit around attempting to waste time. There might be a little time left. When there might be a little time left, are we throwing away our lives so we can slightly enjoy ourselves? We complain about minor flaws in the universe when we should be worrying about when we will meet our untimely demise, where we would never be able to complain again. Do you think I'm insane? Heck, I'm thinking about real life worries. You're complaining about a headache in about 3 minutes. You might not have that headache anymore, but if the world comes too close to the sun or comes in contact with a meteor, there's no way out. I'm okay. You're just a little pony boy, listening and doing, but nothing will stop people from dying. You can't do anything. I can't do anything. We're doomed to failure. Nothing will matter when we are all destroyed. But when we're destroyed, we can't fail. We can't be hurt. We just sit in the dark abyss with no hopes, no worries, nothing. I'm okay, aren't I? You understand, don't you? I'm okay. I feel like you know me. And I feel like as if I know you. We both know we'll be destroyed sooner than later, so go ahead. Think about it for a second. Don't worry. I won't watch. I don't know. I feel like it sidesteps its own point at the part where it's talking about people just trying to enjoy themselves for a moment. Like, I feel like if they didn't have that, then it would be like, because like there's people that know about the inevitability of a death, and they just no reason to give a shit because like, all right, it's inevitable. We'll do the ones we can prevent and not worry about the ones we can't. If a meteor strikes the earth and we all die, that's like way outside of our fucking influence, isn't it? It's like, yeah, pretty much. All right. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you about myself and what happened to me, but first, could you please turn off the light? I like darkness. My name is Takanasi, and I come from Finland. Born in 1990, died in 1999. As a boy, I spent all of my time with my father in his computer room. He used to read stories. Oh, how father loved to read. I used to hang on the back of his chair and read over his shoulder, until one day he felt his chair move a little. He looked behind me and saw me, and was so startled that he had a heart attack, killing him minutes later. I was scared, and I grasped onto the chair and wept quietly. I kept reading the text on the screen over and over and over again, until I lay to rest from malnourishment. I'm glad I got to share that with you, and I'm sorry I lied about reading over the shoulder of my father, but you seem content with me. I hope I haven't been moving the chair too much. This story makes me a tad emotional. I realize your skin must be crawling a tad at the moment because I got a little too close. Please, for your sake, don't look behind you. There's a reason these ones don't work that well, is because after so many of these, you get desensitized. So God forbid there actually be one where you have to look behind, where you look behind you and there's something there. Alright. Let me just check on something. Alright. Alright. I'm sure the wake will be nice. If you're traveling through the tip of the thumb of Michigan on a night with the full moon, stop at McGraw County Park. The gate will be closed, but you can park in front of it. Bring a set of black clothes and change in the changing rooms. When you come out, there will be an old man with olive-colored skin, curly dark hair, and a mustache selling hot dogs in a cart. If you order one, the man will thank you for your patronage and apologize for your loss, saying, I'm sure the wake will be nice. One of your relatives, not necessarily someone close, but someone you still know, will have been murdered that night. Be sure to change back into your other set of clothes, because if you drive away while still dressed in the black clothes, you'll be pulled over by state police and arrested for the murder of your family member, and the clothes will be covered in their blood. Okay, that's neat. Not unexpected, but I think that's kind of interesting. That, okay, yeah, that's what happens. It's like it's another ritual pasta. Well, it's like, why would you do this though if you know this ahead of time? So it's like an I found out the hard way thing. More Edgar Allan Poe. Imitation by Edgar Allan Poe. A dark and fathomed tide of interminable pride, a mystery and a dream, should my early life seem. I say that dream was fraught with a wild and waking thought of beings that have been, which my spirit hath not seen, which I let them pass me by with a dreaming eye. Let none of the earth inherit the vision of my spirit. Those thoughts I would control, and a spell upon his soul. For that bright hope at last, and the light time have passed, and my worldly rest hath gone with a sight as it passed on. I care not though it perish. With the thought I then did cherish. Eh. I don't think I understand it as much. I'd probably have to understand the language, how it's being used a little better to really like appreciate it. Because so far what I've read outside the ones I've already seen that I do like, I don't really know what's going on. I mean, I've listened to Mr. Creepypasta read The Raven. It was like the most popular one, which I'm not sure is here. I forget how long it is. Longer than this one. Nope, not that one. Dang, it passed right by it, damn. No, not that one. 5 pages? No. No. I'm just wondering if we have the Raven on here. I'm not sure we do, but I mean, I got pretty far. Yeah. I don't remember how long it's supposed to be. I'm not seeing it though. No, no. It's like a fucking 15 page or some shit. No, I don't think so. It skyrockets. There we go. That was invitation. Okay, here we go. Back where we were. Go ahead and get another bite, since I'm having a bit of a late dinner. Due to my own incompetence. Whatever you think it needs to be cooked in the microwave, whether it's convection or air fryer in options, cook it longer. In some cases, significantly. Immortal revenge. It has been nearly 1,000 years since I've seen the light of day. I was trapped, you see, but my wicked youngest son deep in the cave. By my wicked youngest son deep in a cave, surrounded by death as my only company. It was my curse to spend all eternity here in this pit. My body severed into 100,000 pieces while my immortal mind is forced to suffer, forcing out all the last little pieces of my sanity. The spirits of my brothers were all stripped of their physical presence and cast to the furthest reaches of the world. And what my foolish child does not know, what my foolish child does not know is that I am regenerating my body slowly. In another 1,000 years I shall complete again, and strong enough to rise from the torturous pit that has become my eternal prison. And on the day that I am finally strong enough to rise up out of this cave, I shall restore my brothers to their former strength, and we shall reap havoc across the known universe. And our might alone we shall overthrow the kingdom that my son has created, forcing all mankind to question the authority of their mighty ruler. All mortals shall be forced to choose sides for this final showdown between father and son, and all who stand against me shall receive no mercy. It is at my mighty hands that they shall fall, sending their puny mortal souls into the depths that once were my prison. The pieces of their own bodies cast about the cavern, and their souls across the land, as my son did to my mighty brothers. No one in heaven and earth has what it takes to stop me. The kingdom shall crumble and fall, and my foolish child with it. Say goodbye to the gods of old, for I am Kronos, king of the Titans, and my foolish son Zeus, along with his pesky family, must all be destroyed. Olympus shall be mine at last. None can stop me. Okay, I started seeing where it was partway through. At first I thought it was the subverting expectations thing, where it's like, the battle between God and the devil. Devil was actually the god, and he got cast down. Let me get some tea. In perfect transition. I was sitting in the upstairs office in the museum with a cup of coffee when it happened. It had been a long day, and I'd set the work experienced kid, the seemingly unfuckable task of dusting the exhibits, after repeating my warning, of course, that some of them must not be touched or opened. A terrified scream, suddenly quickly strangled by a building shaking thump, and an awful rending sound brought me rushing downstairs. The mirror room. I knew it. In there hung an ancient mirror, about a foot around, made of polished obsidian. Behind the glass walls of its display case, it was harmless, although people amusingly report seeing the face of an evil hag in it on occasion. Looking at it unprotected was madness, though. Certainly for those without my knowledge of the old days. I arrived in the mirror room, and a horrible smell hung in the air. On the floor lay half a body. The lower half, still in the clothes I recognized from earlier. The skin had been stretched purple and torn away, and the organs inside that hadn't been torn free leaking in their contents onto the floor. Their legs were at the bottom of a maroon spray and starred below the wooden case of the mirror. And the hip bone lay almost against the wall. Spliffy, how's it going? The case was broken, the wooden sides pushed outwards, clumps of hair matted with skin and blood stuck in the frame of the mirror. Concentrating now, I step in front of the black disc, my sandals carefully placed either side of the bile-sprayed limbs and pool of blood on the floor. Looking into the dark reflection of the room, I saw my double once more. In her hand was a pale arm that led down to a broken form, and a trial of darkness. Sure enough, when she lifted the half-corpse into the air, I recognized the shattered and stretched face. Credited to Ultra. Okay, I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting this one together, to be honest. Like the relationship between the mirrors, it was his double, but or their double. I don't think they actually mentioned like a gender. I don't know. Anyway, I shall continue. Imperial House. There's a house somewhere in China built some time after the first emperor had unified the nation. The house was built in treacherous terrain. It hasn't been seen by human eye for some time. The architecture is typical of Imperial China, but that's not the important part. If you stay in the house, you'll notice something very strange. If you take measurements, you will find that the inside of the house is larger than the outside. First, it will be a fraction of an inch, then an inch, then a foot, then a yard. You'll even notice features from the inside are impossible to find externally, like extra rooms and hallways. Going within these is safe, and you can see the outside, but strangely enough, no one outside the house can see you or the feature. Most people get out at this point, but their vision is forever altered. The world keeps distorting in dimensions and size in their eyes. When there are those who choose to stay further, they have never been seen again. It is said that they occupy the parts of the building that only reveal themselves to those who stay longer. By Retardo the Magnificent. That's kind of interesting. You could imagine being in your own house, right? But something doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's your house for whatever reason. So you investigate. Say you start taking these measurements. You're like, this is 7 foot inside, but it's 5 foot outside. Now, I could see this being even more interesting if they say, hey, all these people are able to have a little bit of clairvoyance in the sense of, like, they can see these other passages that other people can't. That would be interesting. But it becomes a curse because forever everything you perceive cannot be recreated in anyone else's eyes or something like that. Or maybe there's something always following you that you can't escape. Important news. Who discovered the existence of the dead? Everyone knows the name of Antonia Simone, but the exact circumstances of her discovery were wildly varied. In 1992, her younger brother, Ricardo, was injured in a martial arts accident that left him completely paralyzed and needed a respirator to live and could only communicate through eye blinks. She was a computer scientist at the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center. Oh, Jesus Christ. Excuse me. And decided to create a computer terminal sensitive to the slightest energy source. She was a student of Carleon photography and strongly believed the body's electromagnetic fields could affect sensitive electronic equipment. She created a terminal that could not be affected by traditional means. No keyboard, mouse, or other inputs. A veritable black box. Miss Simone was devoted to her brother and tried for years to make a computer terminal that would allow her brother to communicate naturally. Distraught over the failure of a terminal, which was thought would free thousands of similarly affected people, she killed herself by hanging. When paramedics found her body days later, there on the computer screen was a message. What took you guys so long? I've got the most important news. Ooh, I like that one. Thinking she had failed and that once she died, she was able to use it to communicate. That's cool. You know, bittersweet. Spliffy, how was your stream? I hope it was good. I'm having a little bit of a late dinner because I fucked up the popcorn chicken. So I had to I had to cook it extra long. Oh, still going? Taking a break, I assume? Let me... Oh yeah, there it is. Nice. Shit. Yeah, I see that now. I just clicked my tab. I've got Opera and it can bring out a Twitch tab where I can just quickly check all the people I'm following, see who's there that's actually streaming right now. Because I've got the 21 people on it. Neat. And right now there's 3 people on there that are streaming. There's you, there is the Grave Mine Zone, and Ricardo. So that's nice. I hope it's going well. Ugh. I'm not gonna lie, right now, I probably don't have that much time to go ahead and send messages until you either win or die. Or are you throwing me in the background of the stream? Hmm. All right. In hot water. I've been in the shower for hours now, and I have yet to run out of hot water. I can't leave. Something sits on the toilet seat, only feet away from me. He's watching me. I peeked through the curtain earlier. Just to get a glimpse of him. I wish I hadn't. He had gray skin, only a few patches of long, thin hair on his head. He had nails that could have been at least a foot long, and there was blood on those nails, with pieces of my wife's flesh still hanging off the tip of his nails. Every once in a while, he'll make a creaky chuckle, a clearing of his throat, to show he's still there. I don't want to get out, but the water keeps getting hotter and hotter. I'm starting to blister. I stand here with the boiling water hitting my back, and I wonder how much longer I can take this. By Link Bilus? Link Bilus? I don't know. That's the person who put the picture up. Is that what the monster does? He makes it uncomfortable enough that you just gotta leave? Like you're put in a point of danger? The water keeps getting hotter. Normally what'll happen, the only way that'll happen is if you have a really good water heater. Or if you have 2 of them that supply the house. But I don't think you generally get that much in most people's houses, that where it'll keep getting hotter and hotter. Like, the hottest point would have to be immediately after the water heater. So if you have your water heater basically right behind your shower faucet, where it's basically just it's like the first thing that it goes to. I guess that's how it could happen, but then it has to refill and keep giving you that water. I don't know. Oh. Oh, hey, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie. In the background. You have probably seen the ponies in the background. You know, Vinyl Scratch, Dr. Hooves, Lyra, Bon Bon, and Derpy Hooves. Who you haven't seen is me. Oh, but you bet I'm there. And even though you can't see me, I always see you. I'm always staring directly at you, into your soul. In bony crowds, remember the gala? I was there waiting for you to notice me. Luckily for you, you didn't. If you had seen me, you wouldn't be reading this. You'd be at my side like the good friends we are. Remember the Smile song? How you were thrilled with the music and seeing your favorite ponies dance and laugh. I was there, waiting for you to glance at me. You haven't seen me yet. At the end, all of you will be my friends. All of you will be at my side at one point. Go ahead, rewatch the episode. Maybe this time you'll see me. Maybe this time I'll decide to talk to you. But you don't have to watch an episode for you to notice me. I can communicate with you, interact with you, maybe meet you. Want to know where I am at this moment? You hear that voice in your head that you hear while you're reading this? It's me, whispering at your ear. By Julio FCO. Juliofko? 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 Julioff? I don't know. Juliofko. That's what reads to me. Oh man, actually, this picture has a neat effect. I think. The way it's drawn gives it a wavy thing. If you stand back a little bit, you can actually notice that it might give you a little bit of a wavy look. Just to where, like, if you're not paying close enough attention, or if you blur your eyes a little bit, it looks like it's moving, maybe expanding and contracting a little bit. There's a lot of pictures that can do that without you actually having to do anything, just because it's a perspective thing. So that's a neat picture. All right. Oh yeah, I don't think I set up my thing so everyone knows my Blue Sky yet. So let me go ahead and post my Blue Sky account into the chat. Oh, excuse me. All right. There we go. There's my Blue Sky account if anyone's interested. I started somewhat recently, and it's like Twitter if Twitter didn't suck ass. You know. And I would like to be charitable and assume that if Blue Sky gets like Twitter, then everyone's gonna leave it. A lot of people are on Mastodon, but apparently a lot of people are leaving Twitter right now. So I'm still on it, but I've been spending a lot of time on Blue Sky. I'm still gonna watch it fucking burn. Whatever happens. And also, I'm keeping my account valid on, I'm gonna keep my account on it. I'm not gonna delete it so that way no one else can take it. Yeah, you were right, bud. We just placed third in trios. Nice! Oh, excuse me. Okay. Moving on. We still have many pastas to go through. In the closet. Just as usual, you are lying in bed trying to sleep without much luck. However, tonight, something's different. There's a faint red glow coming from your closet. Don't worry about it, you tell yourself. Your mind is playing tricks on you again. What was that? Did the glow just move a little? Did it just get brighter? You should not have spent all that time on x/x/Reddit, right? It's Reddit. Yeah, before going to sleep. Almost got 3 dubs back to back. Read on, sir. It's a lovely background to getting me arse handed to. It's like, yeah, it's better than the alternative, getting my ass kicked and not having something to listen to. You try to get out of time. You try to get out of time to check out the glow. You can't move. You are frozen with fear. You hear an evil chuckle coming from your closet. You open your mouth and scream for someone, anyone, but you just can't find your voice. A warm tear drops down your cheek. There is a slight tapping coming from the closet. You break into a slight sob. You look up at the ceiling and close your eyes, wishing for this nightmare to end. You hear a loud thud, 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 coming from loud footsteps. Finally, your father is coming to check on you. I am saved, you may think. But wait, were those footsteps already in your room? Your muscles tense up as you picture what might happen. You give up on life as soon as you realize that whatever was toying with you from the closet is now coming to finish playing. Something grabs your arm. It's burning hot. This is my story. I hoped you enjoyed, Slenderbro. Oh, okay, that's the ending. That he saying, hey, first pasta. You know what? This is actually not bad. I've seen worse first pastas. This one, I would give more credence to, like, alright, a little more explanation before hitting home. I might have changed it from, like, instead of your dad being the one whose footsteps it could be, that you realize after you hear those footsteps that you thought it was your dad, but your father works night shift or something like that. I think even though that's like really played out, I think that would make sense because that's a very common thing. Just like him not being there puts it a little more together, that like he's gonna rationalize and then that he can no longer rationalize anymore. I don't know, that's just my thoughts. But it's not bad. In the dark. Watching her like that is fucking epic. Crawl, you bitch, crawl. Hello, my name is Eric Halford. I'm 19 years old and go to a local community college, but I don't go there to learn. I go there to have my phone. You see, every night I kidnap children, mothers, and classmates. I take them to the basement, and we have a little fun. It's fun cutting eyes out of sockets and stabbing their chests. My newest victim is named Sierra. She's a pretty girl with big tits and long black hair. She's now hanging by the flagpole in the dean's office. Sierra, I don't know. It's Seaira. I had a lot of fun, but she might be She might be on to me. The cops are banging on the door right now. This little girl in here is with me. I cut off her legs and she's crawling to the door. If I don't die tonight, remember to always make sure you're not alone in the dark. Okay, I don't like some of the implications on this one, but I do like that it's very blogger-esque. Or vlogger. You know, or you're doing the things, you're just talking about shit. I kind of like that that's how this feels, how it reads. And it's like, oh, he's that kind of sadistic. Shit. So, I don't know. It's fucking weird. Oh. Oh, shit, damn it, fuck. Stop yawning. In the dark. Oh, wait, that's it. That was our, that's the one. Okay. In the darkness. In the darkness. Every morning we found our daughter on the couch in the living room. We put her to bed upstairs, and yet she was downstairs every day. At first we thought she was sleepwalking, but she never was afraid when she woke up. Thrown off by the unsuspecting nocturnal change of locations, we tried asking her about it, but she never gave us straight answers. My wife grew tired of it. This isn't normal, she said. She should be sleeping in her room. But she hadn't spent the whole night there for months. Every morning we found her on the couch, sleeping soundly. Then my wife decided to stay up and wait for her to come down from her room. We put her to bed, closed the door, and went to our room where I laid down in the bed. My wife stayed out, though, watching the living room through the glass doors. No more than 5 minutes later, we had left. She came down to the couch. I knew because I heard the living room door open and my wife started talking softly. After a few minutes, their voices started rising. I got up and went to see what was wrong. I walked in, and my wife was standing at the bottom of the stairs while our daughter cried and begged her not to go up them. I picked her up and held her, trying to calm her down. My wife went up. I heard the door to our daughter's room open and then close moments later. She started crying even more. I asked her what the matter was, and she whimpered out, "We don't go up there after dark." I was confused. I wondered where my wife was. She hadn't come down yet. I set our daughter down and walked to the stairs. She screamed for me to stop, but I didn't listen. I walked up slowly to the top and turned to her room. I opened the door, and the light was off. I called my wife's name, but she didn't answer. Our daughter's screaming from downstairs had stopped then. The only soft sobs came up to my ears. I stepped in the room and flipped the switch, but nothing happened. Then the bulb in the lightway started to flicker. I turned around as it went out. All I saw was a blur of black that even dimmed the darkness around me. The door slammed shut. The wails of our daughter reached up through the floorboards as the overture of my final moments. All there was in the end was darkness and screaming and teeth. This is not bad. This is pretty decent. I find it hard to see the daughter acting the way she did in the initial part where she's like very standoffish. I feel like something would happen before then when the behavior was recognized, but I mean, aside from that, I could be wrong about that anyway. It's a pretty decent one. We're getting to a bunch of pretty decent ones so far. The eyes are not disappointing. We haven't gotten any like really terrible ones like we did towards the beginning. Ugh. In the right mind. So one day I was just scrolling through some download links for my games that I couldn't really buy. I noticed a download link called Mass Effect 5.exe and thought, cool, must be a pre-release. Then I remembered that the latest Mass Effect was only Mass Effect 3. The fourth one hasn't come out yet. How would there be a pre-release for 5? So I clicked cancel instead of downloading the file and continued on. Let this be a lesson to you all. Stay in the right mind when dealing with download links. This is how most of you die. Wow, okay, this was just a warning. This was just a straight up warning. It's like, hey, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. You just gotta look at it and make it make sense. Come on. Oh, man. This is beautiful. Yeah, that's about what I would expect, though. Okay. In the shadows. My heart is pounding. I feel it closing in, coming to kill me. I feel the smoke coming down the vents. It seeps through the floor. A shadow appears from the ground. It rises above the height of any human. Two red eyes open from what appears to be its head. It slowly tilts itself towards me and sticks out a bloody hand. I burst awake, sweating and screaming. I look around my bedroom. I get out of my bed to go downstairs to the restroom. I wash my face and return to bed, tired and scared. The next morning, I noticed my closet door is open. Strange, I thought to myself. I am pretty sure it was closed last night. I shrug it off and go to school. When I return home, my parents are nowhere to be found. I find a note on the coffee table. Dear Tom, your father and I are away getting groceries. Wait for your sister to come home and wait for us there. I throw the note away and start watching TV. About half an hour later, I smell burning. Smoke is coming from outside. I run outside to see the school bus on fire. I see it's my sister's bus and run to the paramedics already on the scene. They tell me that she is fine. She has too much smoke in her lungs. My parents still do not return and I am worried. I feel something on my shoulder. I turn to see a smoky shadow from my dream. I yell and push it away. It says slowly, "Your sister is..." It trails off. He takes a deep breath. Dead. He slowly goes into the floor. He waves his hand slowly and I drift to sleep. I soon wake up in the cold rocky ground. The sky is bright white. I notice a figure looking above into the light. Where am I? Where's my sister? I yell, tears wailing in my eyes. He doesn't turn his head, but slowly says, "You are in the shadow realm, or the world of dreams." He turns towards me, and I burst awake. I look around and notice the creature's shadows in the corner of my room. I sigh, then fall back to sleep. Demon of his dream. Ah, that looks cool though. I assume by Tuna99. I wonder if that's an approximation that he found. This is all right. Yeah. Oh, this is the same picture from earlier, right? No, it's not. Ah, I feel like I've seen this specific picture used before. All right. In the shower. Have you ever been taking a shower while alone in the house and it felt like something was moving around behind the curtain or watching you? Did you look up? Did you catch the very vaguest hint of eyebrows or a tuft of matted, greasy hair above the curtain rod? That's not a good idea. It doesn't really like it if you see it. It likes it the most when you've got shampoo on your hair and your eyes are shut tight and your eyes don't sting. Or even better, when there's soap and bubbles all over your soft pink face. It's likes that the best because your eyes are clenched so tight that if you did want to open them, like if you had heard a soft scratching against the plastic shower curtain, or a rasping of claws on the bathroom tile, or a gentle splatter of drool or blood, or God knows what, well, you wouldn't open your eyes because it'd burn, right? Right. Don't open your eyes, because if you ever see its face, catch its eyes, well, it'll notice. By Retardo the Magnificent. Neat. Like, I don't know what to say about that one. I mean, it's another one of those, how would you know? Like, they got tired of a lot of these, so, that were like that. It's like, how would you know? How would you be able to say that? To know, how would you know the consequences prior to not having been the subject of it? Where did you see it? Don't worry, Mr. Creepypasta, I read the bad ones, so you don't have to. Alright. In the summer. It was a normal day, nothing out of the ordinary. I had woke up at about 3 p.m. I had rolled out of bed, got ready, did the usual. I turned on my laptop and spent the day having no life, being a computer nerd. I shut down my computer around 3 a.m. and watched TV for a while. Everything was normal. I went to the restroom, and 2 moths were sitting on my sink. I thought this was quite odd, and shook it off. Maybe my brother had left the door open. I did my business and walked back to the cluttered room. I lay in my bed and turned on the TV. It took me a while to realize I couldn't sleep. So I laid there for about half an hour, lost in complete thoughts. I turned to my window. Well, my room was 3 large windows. There is a corner in my room where nothing sits at. And the street light usually hits right about that spot. I opened my clouded eyes and I turned to the complete shock in what I had seen. It was a girl, maybe about 4'2". She had black sockets for eyes, and was wearing a blood-stained white dress. Her hair was ratted and long. Her mouth was cartoon-like, a straight line. Her arms were at her side, and her hands were in fists. She looked angered. I was very afraid. I couldn't move. I closed my eyes. I was hoping she hadn't noticed me. I slowly turned and acted as if I was sleeping. I laid there. I had gotten no sleep that night. I had no idea what I saw meant. I had told my mom, and she said I was crazy. She thinks this house is so blessed. Honestly, I think there is spirits. Maybe I'm crazy, or maybe my reality is just different from yours. I know what I saw. And what I saw was not normal. And this seems like a sleep paralysis thing. So I don't know. Ooh, in the water. Can I read this one fast enough? Is that enough? I can try it. In the waters. There's something in the water. There's something in the water, they say. Someone put it there to make people act this way. People are dying, people are crying, people are lying. Left and right, the bodies go, dropping dead where they stand. I am alone, and in my house, with many water drugs of full stock. I will never feel the ill effects of which I hear them talk. People loot and plunder, a crazy sort of force. This poison population seems no blunder. The town's well is the source. I write this now in anticipation of the crazy new poisoned nation. This populace poisoned, the psycho people, their morals asunder. The poison's clearly now no blunder. There's something in the water. There's something in the water, they say. And I am the one who put it there to make them act this way. Okay. What joke do you think I'm gonna make? Go ahead. Just what do you think? There's something in the water. There's something in the water. There's something in the water, they say. In the waters. There's something in the water. There's something in the water. The one who put it to make them act this way. And I am the one who put it there to make them act this way. To make them act this way. In the waters. In the waters. There you go. There's something in the water. There's something in the water, they say. Someone put it there to make people act. There you go. Okay, I did it. Alright, yeah, what joke do you think I'm gonna make about this one where he puts poison in the water to make them act this way? Come on, you know what it is. They're putting chemicals in the water to turn the frickin' frogs gay! That's what that immediately made me think. Once it got to the part where it was talking about poison in the water, I was like, yes! Alex Jones come to fruition. Oh, the bastards. They're all there. By Cheese Lord. The Cheese Lord. Oh, here's another short one. In your mirror. You went to the bathroom today. You looked in the mirror. You saw your reflection. Is that in fact your reflection? No, it is not. You look in the mirror. You saw your murderer. By Arabella. By Cheese Lord. Well, cheese. Oh, here's another short. In your mirror. You went to the bathroom today. Your murderer. Yeah, that works. In your mirror. You went to the bathroom today. You looked in the mirror. You saw your reflection. There you go. Q. Q. This is way easier to do instead of like during gameplay. I need someone else to make clips of that, because like with this, I have a hard time with it. All right. I wish I had someone that could clip stuff out whenever something funny would happen during gameplay. I can do it here just fine because I don't have a controller, or I'm not trying to play a game. Ugh. Hopefully I'll be able to start drawing soon. Alright. Inconspicuous. Inconceivable. Inconspicuous. You know, you can never be too sure. All these monsters, creatures, killers, creepy characters, which have their place in creepypasta and myths, you think they are invented. You think they are just a product of the sick imagination of a writer. You think something like it could not possibly exist in our world. You think this doesn't make sense at all. It's not real. But think about what you don't know. Have these authors invented anything? How do you know that everything isn't true? How do you know that no one is under your bed, under your desk, in your closet, outside your window? They are inconspicuous, but enough of this. I want to ask you what kind of a beautiful painting which hangs in your living room? I can do this in a minute. Inconspicuous. You know, you can never be sure. All these monsters, creatures, killers, creepy characters which have their place in creepypasta and myths, you think they are invented. You think they are just a product of a sick imagination of a writer. You think something like it could not possibly exist in our world. You think this doesn't make sense at all. It's not real. But think about what you don't know. Have these authors invented anything? How do you know that everything isn't true? How do you know that no one is under your bed, under your desk, in your closet, outside your window? They are inconspicuous, but enough of this. I want to ask you what kind of a beautiful painting which hangs in your living room. Okay. I feel like that last line wasn't set right. What kind of a beautiful painting? No, you can never be inconspicuous. You know, you can never be painting which hangs in your living room. Enough of this. I want to ask you what kind of a beautiful painting which hangs in your living room. Inconspicuous. Okay. Incon. Monsters, creatures, killers. Spic. You. Oh, there we go. That should be right. Okay, so with that one, on this one, this last line just breaks the whole thing, unfortunately. But enough of this. I want to ask you what kind of a beautiful painting which hangs in your living room. That sentence is broken. If it wasn't for that, that would be much easier. All right. Okay. So it's been about 2 hours. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take a break. So, thank you so far for watching. Feel free to get up, stretch your arms, stretch your legs. Go to the bathroom, get something to eat, get something to drink, pet a cat, pet a dog, do what it is you normally do during an intermission. I'm going to be taking about 10 or 15 minutes for myself, give or take. And I will then be back. So, this is the intermission. All right. And we're back. Let's say Luigi's Mansion. There's a yappy baby. I don't know if you can hear them. There's a yappy baby trying to get a friggin' moth. Oh. Bean, why? Fuck. Anyway. I really wish I could make my voice sound a little better. Because I don't... I want my voice to sound better. It doesn't... It sounds like it's in a box. Wait. Oh, my compressor isn't part of the fucking... Shit, I gotta figure this shit out at some point. Oh well. It is what it is. Alright. Next pasta. Make sure the chat's still working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. It is a process which I have derived empirically. All motion, either generated by or imparted to an object. The same principle, obeys the same principle, he said. When your arm moves, is the motion continuous, or are there discretized points, however small, which are there, and is no in between, where there is no in between. The latter case, I would imagine, at a subatomic level, I offer. Indeed, he replies. In my work I have discovered it matters not the time frame in which a motion occurs, nor the force that impels it. On film, during the transitional applications of the process, the movement is indistinguishable from life. Would you agree? Aside from the crudity of the animation as it has been practiced in the past, I say that is entirely the point. Yes, you have chosen the perfect word, he says, opening a black leather bag I've been eyeing since I entered the room. Perhaps he hasn't noticed. Perhaps he has noticed. The stop-motion animator's work is quite crude. I have refined the processes, and refined them again until the medium was freed of its old moorings. Yes? A new art form emerged and a new science. At a sufficient level, the two are indistinguishable. Many things seem to be, I say. He smiles at this. But enough talk. He returns to his smile and replaces it with a stern air of professionalism. There is some hint of pride in his face, though, as he says, perhaps to begin, I should introduce you to one of my assistants. He claps his hand 3 times. From a shadowy corner, a misshapen clay thing the size of a man shambles jerkingly across the room towards us, its skin rippling as if plied by countless unseen fingers. Oh. That's interesting. It's like, what if you could do stop motion in real time? That is, and you see like the fingerprints and everything. That's pretty neat. I kind of like that conceptually. Ooh, can we get something more? Well, I don't know. This is probably good enough. This would be a good like 4-minute video. Someone make it happen, please. All right. Ines Clincia Forti. A few days old, but anyway. Dear friends, throughout October I'll be sharing tidbits of horror with you all. Some will be pictures, some will be fiction. The story below is neither. Joey, an acquaintance of mine, is quite the horror show all to himself. He grew up in a violently abusive household, evidenced by the fact that when he was 12 years old, he shot his father dead. I didn't know Joey then, but all I can say is that today he labors under considerable mental illness. Whether he will ever be totally free from the demons that plague him is strongly to be doubted. For what reason, I don't know, but the fact is, Joey's a grave robber. He finds the oldest graves he can, the ones most likely to contain only the bare coffin, and digs them up to steal wedding bands, gold teeth, etc. How he does this by himself, I don't know. Maybe he has help. I also don't know how many times he's done it. But a mutual friend of ours related to this story, allegedly from Joey's own admission. A lonely graveyard somewhere in Ashe County. He located an ill-tended grave with a headstone so worn the name of the deceased, as well as the dates, were illegible. This he chose as his target. Either that night, or sometime not long after finding it, Joey returned at dusk to begin digging. How long it takes to dig down to a casket by hand, I couldn't I couldn't begin to guess. However long it took, though, he eventually uncovered it. Inside the casket was the body of a woman. This much was obvious, since her long, golden blonde hair still cascaded down her back, which was facing upward. She lay on her belly, her legs scrunched as if toward the fetal position, and her hands were clasping at the sides of her head. There was only one explanation. The poor woman had been buried alive. As it isn't actually the lack of oxygen that kills you in such a place, but rather the toxic buildup of carbon dioxide breathed out. Between her horrible panic and the ever more poisonous air, her breathing rate probably peaked at well above 200 breaths per minute. Her terror and agony with what terror and agony she had died is beyond guessing. That's it. I don't know what, if anything, Joey took from her, and I don't know how many times afterward he went digging for treasure in such places. I, for one, like to think that it cured him right then and there, but knowing what little I do of him, all I can do is shake my head and wonder. Don't rob graves. Death is something that is fairly sacred, and sacred to me. I don't like the idea of burying people, but, you know, what have you. For me, it's more significant to at least be in an urn where I can be put up on a shelf for people to feel like I'm here. I mean, that has a lot of, like, when you start breaking it down, that also has a lot of weird connotations with it. But if not, but when you talk about being able to visit your loved ones that have passed and, like, pay respects or whatever, it's a lot harder to do that when they're in a marked grave in a graveyard. Like, you don't always have the ability to necessarily go there. Like, I would want to be cremated. Like, make me part of the world in one way or another or something. I don't know. Like, eventually, and then my wife and I are together for as long as people find us, find our ashes significant. And then at some point, something happens to our ashes. I don't know. We'll be long dead, and we'll find out if there's an afterlife, whatever the hell happens, and whatever. So, but this, like, this is just disgusting. Now, there's also the issue of people being buried alive. It's fucked up. Alright. Inevitable ticking. Tick, tick, tick. It's all I can hear now. It's been a while since I fell. I fell and broken my leg. I can't make it to the phone. No one is going to come looking for me, though I have no friends or family, no job, no pets, no real connection to the outside world. Tick, tick, tick. The clock. I curse the day I bought it. I used to think its loud ticking sound was soothing. Now the sound is driving me mad. I can't move. Tick. I can't stand the sound, that inevitable ticking of my life as it slowly slips away. Tick, second, tick, by second, tick. A slow death, counting the seconds, hoping I won't live long enough to hear the next damn tick of that clock. Momo, I'm trying to see if I can clip this, you bean. You naughty bean. Now the sound. Alright. No. Inevitable ticking. Tick. Inevitable ticking. No. Tick, tick, tick. It's all I can hear now. That sound, that inevitable ticking of my life. Slow death, counting the seconds, hoping I won't live long enough to hear the next damn tick of that clock. Clock. There we go. Alright. Inevitable ticking. Tick, tick, tick. It's all I can hear now. It's been a while since I fell. This fucking bean. Alright, that's done. Okay. That was alright. The another blessing in disguise being like the thing that pains you. That's supposed to be there? I'm not sure those are supposed to be there. And of course it's on all of them, but... Sorry, I'm looking at my dragon. It's like this little ring formation on all the segments, but I'm like not sure if those are actually supposed to be there. I mean, they're not breaking off easy. It's not. It's supposed to be there. Interesting. Learning new things about the stuff I own. Cool. Okay. Infernal kiss. I awoke covered by a single purple blanket in the chapel of the Mormon church. It was Halloween day and on a Tuesday. I ran to the nearest doors that led to the parking lot, but they were locked. All of the doors, except for the ones that led to different rooms, were locked. I ran down the hall, blanket in one hand, until I ran into the most gorgeous girl in the world. She told me her name was Lucille. She was just amazing. She said that she had also been trapped here. So we hid in room 22. She told me that the last thing she remembers was someone had laid a lime green blanket on her. We chatted until about 6:30, when she told me that she needed to use the restroom. After 30 minutes had passed, I decided to look for her. I checked the bathrooms, halls, every nook and cranny until I came to the bishop's office. I hesitantly opened the door and found a man, around age 22, sitting in the largest chair. "Hello, Jaden," he said in a slightly sympathetic tone. "Who are you?" I asked him. "Where's Lucille?" He chuckled at my questions, as a familiar girl stepped out from behind him. "Lucille? Are you okay?" She giggled at how worried I was about her. "Follow us," she hissed as she slid her arm around my waist. We all walked down the hall to the cultural hall. I sat down in front of them, trying to keep calm, as Lucille stepped aside from the man. He started growling. He started growing and twisting into a figure similar to Satan. He stepped aside for Lucille, whose skin turned a bright red as she grew wings and a tail. I was petrified. I ran to the coat rack and hid there. After a few hours, Lucille stood in front of me. I stood ready for an explanation, but instead, I was pulled into a kiss by my hands. She wrapped my arms around... Let me smash! Let me smash in the chats. Wow. Didn't expect that so soon. She wrapped my arms around her waist. She wrapped my arms around her waist, and she wrapped hers around my neck. Slowly, we were being pulled into hell. The kiss was a tactic to distract me from this occurrence, but it felt so right that I didn't care. As we sunk, she said one thing to me that chills me to the bone, even now. "Welcome home, baby." Is there a story with these names? You have, Lucille and Jaden. I don't know. The other dude doesn't say anything about what he was. So, okay. You had purple and you had lime green. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, another ticking one. This one looks a little long. I can check it. Infernal ticking. Where am I? I awoke in a room, solid, blinding white, and details nowhere. Anybody there? I asked, trying to keep calm. I realized suddenly there's a sound. A simple tick, tick, tick. Where's that coming from? I look around, my eyes gradually adjusting to the light. The walls are completely flat from what I can see. I began to feel around the walls and the floor of where if there is a crack or crevice that could lead out. Tick, tick, tick. That noise again. Where's it coming from? God, I'm going to go insane if I don't get out of here. I'm suddenly feeling very tired and fall asleep to the steady monotone of the ticking. I awake, not even moving, just laying there, going insane. Tick, tick, tick. I don't even remember how long I've been here anymore. All I know is I began beating my fists and head upon the wall in the rhythm of the ticks, beating them raw and bloody. As I lay here tired, insane, bleeding out, my breathing fades, leaving only the calm sounds of the tick, and the sight of red blood and white walls. Tick, tick, tick. I don't know what to put this one, to be honest. I awake, not even. There's a sound. A simple tick, tick, tick. There's a sound. Anybody there? I asked, trying to keep calm. I realized suddenly there's a. Where am I? I awoke out. My breathing fades, leaving only the. Where am I? I awoke in a room, solid, blinding white, and. Nah, I can't. I can't get the whole thing. Anybody there? I asked, trying to keep calm. Oh well, I tried. Hey, it was interesting. It was there. It's. I like how it took the inevitable ticking thing. It's effectively the same. I think this does it a little better. Alright, well, that's not a good sight. Guy's blowing chunks. It's probably gonna keep going. Okay. Alright. Influenza. I've been sick now for days. I've been sick for days now. That bubbling nausea that fills your throat makes you feel as if you're about to throw up every time you burp or so much as breathe out your mouth. Holding the toilet, resting my head on the cool porcelain. I really question why the hell I don't make myself throw up and just get it over with. It's just not something I can do. Thinking of forcefully gagging myself, ugh, it's almost worse than I feel now. Almost. Suddenly it hits me, and this is it. This is it. I feel that slick, sour spit coat my throat. My belly tightened up as I pushed my head over the bowl and spit for a split second before I explode. I realize this thing has not been cleaned in a while. Then I vomit hard, mucus rich and acidic. Then it pours out in a hard, jetting stream from my mouth and nose, burning my nasal passages like fire. It hits so hard, it feels like it should be coming out my eyes too. I vomit again and again, the third time bringing up some thin, reeking slime, and I gasp a bit, getting my breath back before the next wave. I pitch forward again, eyes tearing as they squeeze shut, and almost another hot jet of filth pouring out. Opening my eyes, it seems different. A terry black, and there are things bobbing in it. I don't have time to look too hard before two more hard wretches double me over the bowl. These were more pinkish, and I can definitely see some kind of meat in those. Hamburger, maybe? More vomit, more oddness. I don't remember eating any kind of jelly, especially cherry. It's starting to hurt, a deep spike each time. God, how much can a person throw up? When did I eat noodles that long, or that big? The goo in it is getting thicker too, and pink. It's starting to feel at least a little better. Ugh. When did I eat a balloon? My belly is feeling better now. Really light. Jesus. Where was that? Where that was floating still, it looks almost like it's pulsating or beating. Going to have to move to the sink. Toilet's almost full. I'm feeling better now. Hungry, actually. Very hungry. Starving. Ravenous. I feel so empty. Those organs were being vomited out, right? By Ben Nasty. Ben Nasty. You want the big and tasty? No, I want the big and nasty. Insomnia Ramble. I haven't slept for the past few days, so excuse any random comments I may make staying from the subject. Let me start with a simple question. What is fear? Easy, I know this, you may tell yourself, but do you really know? There's a fake fear, obviously, so what is real fear? Is it true that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself? And if so, why? Is it these questions that have drawn me to research this, and I've come to a conclusion? Is these questions that have drawn me to research this, and I've come to a conclusion. Fear is a defense mechanism specifically designed to keep us alive. If there's no fear, none of us would be alive. It's very hard to explain, so I'll put it as simple as possible and throw in as many examples as I can. You know how you can catch movements in the corner of your eye? Fear controls that. It makes you aware that there is an unknown presence near you. It may not be the threat, but you don't know that, do you? What do you do? Get up and check it out, or dismiss it as nothing? Going to check it out is a death sentence. You're better off dismissing it. But what you should do is run as fast as you can. Just run, even if it turns out to be nothing. You don't want to take the chances. Besides, I like a challenge. Sleep tight and have dreams filled with fright, as my mother would say. I feel like that's supposed to be a reference. I don't know what that's supposed to be a reference of. If that's I don't know, because that sounds just counterintuitive to the point it's trying to make. I guess. All right, well. Oh, inspect the gadget. Inspector Gadget. Credit for this story goes to the Gendra of DeviantArt. Added by Robot Cat. Okay. Okay, well, obviously Inspector Gadget can't be this man's real name. Whoever he is, he's a regular human who worked for the cops or whatever. Well, I think that while on the job, something happened to him. Some terrible accident. Some explosion or collapse that left him completely destroyed. Once the cops found this, the chief, the guy in the show all the time, decided to do something never before attempted. They used the newest and most secret technology to recreate this man with superhuman powers. It's sort of like the Bionic Man or whatever. They programmed this robot version of the Inspector to look and sound just like him. Even to think like him. He was programmed with the very best AI and all. He continued working for the company. He watched over his niece and dog just like the real human versions did. The only problem with all of this is that he didn't die in the accident. No. The real human version survived, only he was changed. The accident deformed him, warped his brain, and made him see things differently. Once he discovered that they had replaced him with a robot doppelganger, he swore to destroy it no matter what it looks like. They had taken his life away and replaced it with a robot that they now call Inspector Gadget. The human version decided to use everything he had that he knew to fight against the robot version, to do evil to the company that had ruined his life. He also changed his name. Now he is known as Dr. Claw. You never see his face because the face of Inspector Gadget, only deformed from the accident. Ooh, I like that. I like that one. Now, I guess you have to take out the Matthew Broderick movie. Because, like, the Matthew Broderick one was live action. That one, like, tells you, oh yeah, he got exploded in a fucking mall cruiser or something. Alright. Interesting epitaph. An interesting epitaph. I wouldn't recommend trying to find it for yourself. The stone to which it belongs has an interesting story. You are the lucky one. A great thing you have found now that you have picked me up. You'll never put me down. I have a nasty way with me, and I am now inside your head. Now that you have read me through, you are dead. No one remembers the first name on the stone, but an interesting thing began to be noticed. Visitors to the graveyard... Oh, shit. Visitors to the graveyard, when they came to the stone would note a name and then read the epitaph. Then were so startled by it that they would note that name again and realize it was their own. Some started to question it with the different cemetery keepers or townspeople. No one knew what they were talking about. By the next morning, all their belongings were there, but they were gone without a trace. Someone, who knows who, started recording the incidents. They finally decided to cover the stone up with a They finally decided to cover the stone up to prevent more disappearances. Every time they checked on it, it was uncovered again. The townspeople just let all the visitors know that the cemetery is off limits, but every so often, you have someone whose curiosity gets the better of them, and they sneak in. The next morning, their belongings are found in one of the inns, and they are gone. It's kind of neat. I can only assume by the aeronaut. Ooh. Excuse me. There we go. Alright, maybe I'll stop at the next break. I'm already feeling kind of tired. Okay. Intern. I made a horrible mistake. When I was at the Comic-Con about 10 years ago, I showed Dexter's Rude Removal. They showed Dexter's Rude Removal. I thought this was the only chance I would ever see it. I grabbed my camera and filmed it. After the cartoon was over, I went home. When I got home, I got a strange phone call. The person said he was a Cartoon Network intern. He said if I don't destroy the tape, he would kill me. I thought this was a joke, so I hung up. When I was on the computer, I said my private info was stolen. It said that my private info was stolen. 11 hours after my computer said that, I saw 3 cars entering my driveway. I saw an intern and some bodyguards get out of the cars. They had guns. They knew my doors were locked, so they broke my windows and got in. They said to me, "Give us the videotape." They got to my trap door and got to my panic room. I think they saw me, so they went down too. When they got down, they started shooting at me. I grabbed my shotgun and started firing back, but I thought I killed them all. They turned into zombies. I grabbed one of their guns and shot all of the undead bodyguards. I saw the intern appear from the shadows. He said, "You think you can kill all of us?" My bullets fired at him after he said that, but the bullets did nothing to stop him. The intern had a fearsome transformation into a demon. I escaped my panic room and went upstairs to my living room. The intern made the panic room explode with his finger. It found me and tried choking me. I stabbed him in his left hand with a pocket knife. In pain, the demon transported to a different place. I followed the demon to its hideout, a shed in the woods. I poured gas on the shed and then lit the match. The demon burned to death. If someone tells you that you can't videotape something, listen to them. I don't know about that. That's just something you want to do. Gur's Rage. This isn't Bloody Gur, though. Bloody Gur's a fun one. Alright. You alright, cats? Invader Zim, lost episode. Gur's Rage. Today, I got a DVD of all Invader Zim episodes at a garage sale. Cool, right? Well, you're wrong. They seemed generous to give me the disc, but they had that look like they were relieved of getting rid of it. I went back to my house. I watched all the episodes, but when I saw another episode, it must be an unfinished episode because in the intro there was no music. I thought, however, there was no audio in the episode itself. Gur was eating a taco as usual, but Zim snatched the taco and shouted at Gur. He said to never bring smelly human food into the base, ever. I thought Gur would ignore him as usual, but I was wrong about that too. Gur's eyes turned red and evil music was playing, and Gur busted open the front door and walked out without his disguise. Gur went to Dib's house. As usual, Dib wanted to manipulate Gur, but he was standing still, as if he was ignoring him. Gur came closer to the screen, and it cut to Dib, terrified. Gur was tearing out Dib's organs and put them all in a taco shell. Gur went over to the Professor Membrane's lab and knocked over every machine and test tube, causing a fire. The fire was photorealistic. Professor Membrane shouted, "It's a disaster! No! No!" Like he really meant it, and not in a comedic way. Gur smashed Professor Membrane against the wall, knocking him out. Gur ripped out his liver and stuffed it into the taco shell. He looked upstairs. I knew he was going to kill next. Gur flew over to Gaz's room. Gaz obviously was not glad to see him, but she had more of a terrified expression. Gur's hand turned into a buzzsaw and started to slash at Gaz. Gaz dodged it as much as she could, but she was trying to get out of her room. She tripped. Gur dissected Gaz and sliced up her heart and then put pieces in the taco shell. Gur went back to Zim's house. Zim walked backwards in fright. Gur was floating over. His head turned into a harpoon, and Gur chased Zim around the base. Zim tripped, then got up. He ran out of his base with his disguise being chased by Gur, who still has no disguise. Zim was cornered by houses. Gur shot the harpoon and hit Zim. Zim was dragged towards Gur. Zim's body hit Gur, who became bloodstained. Gur blew Zim up and put his pieces in the taco shell, which became a taco with organs in it. Gur started to eat the taco and he walked back to the base. I haven't looked at Invader Zim the same way ever again, and I never watched it again. Yeah, that happened to me. I'd probably have a hard time being able to get back to it as well. But, I don't know enough about the creator to think that they would do that even as a parody. I mean, I know fucking, the, Amazing World of Gumball fucking actually did part of that episode from, the Gumball thing. There's a Gumball Creepypasta, and they actually did, like, the first scene of that. And, like, it was insane. Like, the fact that they did that was crazy that they played into the Creepypasta. I assume by Hero Brian 123. Alright. Invisible. I wonder why each day it feels like I'm invisible. As I'm walking, people shove right past me like I'm air, like I was never there. My voice is always trivial. My wants are not ridicule. I'm right here, can't you see me? Waving my arms, can't you feel me? Screaming out of my lungs, can't you hear me? I'm not dead, my heart is beating. I swear it is. There's blood in my veins. I don't need to prove it on my wrists. Do I need to prove it on my wrists? Oh, now there's a person who sees me now. He appears translucent. But how? They won't hear you, he says. You're invisible. You're dead. Fact is, it's inevitable. That's kind of neat. Invisible. 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 Because it's inevitable. All right. Invisibly. All right. Irony. So, you like creepypasta? Pokemon creepypasta? I'm sure all of us have gone at least one night lying awake for fear of the creatures from our stories to lunge out of the dark in our sleep. Have you rethought the Pokemon world? Looked deeper into its depths? Seen it for what it really is? How many Pokemon have you released because of your fears? This, in truth, is very controversial subject. Half of the Pokemon creepypastas out there have the theme of not leaving your Pokemon, not abandoning your friends, so why, I ask, do you release your Pikachu because you read a pasta where one of its species went insane? Just because one is a psycho killer doesn't mean they all are. And anyways, there must have been some reason that Pikachu went mad. After all, if it seems real enough for you to release your Pokemon, then it should be good enough to have a reason for the major events. I wonder what that poor Pikachu you released thinks of all this. Released for no reason but your own initial fears. Think about all the stories you've read. Could that not be fuel for it to seek revenge upon its former trainer? You're much better off keeping that innocent Pikachu than getting rid of it and risking doing the very thing that you were trying to avoid in the first place. Those Pichus you released? The Vaporeon you got rid of? The Vaporeon would definitely want revenge or die of a broken heart. You had evolved it from an Eevee, brought it up, maybe even loved it for a time. Then you give it away for fear of encountering situations you read in a story or saw in a picture. What a horrible way to end up. What about that Growlithe? That Squirtle? The Charizard you traded away? Nearly every creepypasta centered around Pokemon tells you not to do what you are doing. Abandoning your friends? It's more rational to fear a Rattata you released for no valid reason than the harmless innocent little creature in your PC box. Haven't you learned anything? I know exactly what I would do. If I were one of these Pokemon, I would track down the trainer who disowned me. And... Are those eyes over your shoulder? No. I must be imagining things. Ah, shit. It's feeling warm in here for some reason. I'm sweating. It feels like a cold sweat. I hope I'm not getting fucking food poisoning. God damn it. Let's see. Oh, that's 72. Sorry, I was feeling a little warm. Starting to sweat. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if it's still warm or not. I was like in there. I was like, I can't tell if like I was getting a cold sweat. Like I might fucking. Okay. Yeah, it's 72. That's kind of warm, kind of. Yeah. I was just worried. I was like, fuck. It's like the first sign of getting poison. I'm like, feels like my limbs are feeling a little cold. And I was sweating, but then I was like paranoia. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not crazy. I mean, relatively speaking. Okay. Yeah, okay. My wife has confirmed. It is kind of warm. Husband has confirmed. Here I am sitting like, fuck, dude. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that chicken. Ooh. The fuck? Okay. Is it real? We all have normal lives, right? Wrong. How do you know your life isn't a lie? That you're not tied up in the asylum? And everything you do is all a figment of your imagination? Or that you've been released on the world just because they gave up on you? All your friends, your job, your school, husband or wife even, aren't fake. How do you know? Tell me now. Are you sure that this isn't fake? That this is all a lie? Maybe this will wake you up. Answer this one last question. Is it real? Okay, I don't know where that one's trying to go. I get the theme of trying to... Is your reality real? I have some minor low-level philosophical shit about that, but it basically comes down to saying it's not really relevant because we are still experiencing what we consider our lives regardless. Maybe it's because of that mentality that I have that it's just kind of like, eh. At what point does it matter if I can't distinguish anyway? It's the point where you start being able to distinguish that would change the outcome. Even if this was all a computer simulation, I don't have the knowledge to know that it's a computer simulation, nor does it really matter because I'm still feeling an experience regardless. I can testify to myself that I'm feeling this experience, even though I can't prove it to anyone else. That being said, I mean, I don't think it devalues one's life to only exist within the idea of another. if we can still consider ourselves experiencing a thing. But I mean, that's its own thing. But this one's just kind of, it's a thinker, at the very least. Is it safe yet? The night was hot. Yes. I remember that it was awfully hot that night. Even though it was extremely hot, I had my blankets pulled up to my nose. My eyes were the only thing facing the darkness. I helplessly tried to pull the blankets up in an attempt to cover the rest of my face. However, it was like someone or something was dragging them down, not wanting me to finally achieve the fake safety of being under the shield I called blankets. I was hopeless. I assumed that it was probably the same thing that made the noise downstairs was also pulling my blankets down. I am not afraid to say that I was scared shitless. That was by far the most terrifying feeling that I had felt in my whole life. I tried to close my eyes, pressing them as hard as I could to avoid seeing the thing's face. Tum, 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 tum. Step, 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 step. One after another, just in front of my bed. Clench. The mattress shrieked, then silence, just silence. The absolute silence that was deafening to my ears. It seemed like an eternity to me. Is it safe yet? I asked myself. After 30 minutes or so, I decided to open my eyes. The sight was met with a beast. Empty holes stared back at me where its eyes should be. It was smiling at me. It's kind of a neat one. I don't feel like this is written in a way that really, how do I put it? I feel like there's a way this could have been written that gives a more build up and gives you a better scene in mind, I think. If that makes sense. The onomatopoeia right here is great, I think. I think that really helps. Being around the safety of like being in the shield we call blankets, that I think is really telling on how you're meant to think about it, and that you'll do, because I've had sleep paralysis a couple times. I've been fucking terrified and would not move. Come to find out that it was just someone that got knocked over by one of the dogs. You know, that kind of thing. So this is that's kind of what this feels like, except he's looking at it. But it's the I'm looking at it, is everything okay? And then everything goes so quiet because they have lots of patience. Don't underestimate the ability for some people to be patient. I know I can certainly be patient. By Infant Finite. Or is that, yeah, Infant Finite. Made to look like infinite. Infinite infant. I see you. Jenny was very excited to get her new iPod Touch. Little did she know, buying things on the internet is not the smartest thing to do. She never wanted to buy things off the internet. But it was the only way Jenny could get her new iPod. She got her iPod in the mail. She opened the box to find a seemingly brand new iPod. She used it for hours on end, making it her new favorite thing. Oh boy, is she stupid. The man who sold her the iPod had linked it to his computer, so the front-facing camera always had a live feed leaking to his computer for him to view. She used it so much, and boy did she give him a show. She used it naked, she used it while singing, she used it while eating. The pervert was enjoying himself so much. One day, after 2 months gone by, she no longer used the iPod as much. This upset the man. So she linked his iPod cameras up to the app to her iPod called I See You. Now, when she looked on that app, she'd see out of his camera. He waited outside her house until she opened the app. She saw herself through her bedroom window. This scared and confused the girl, and she looked out the window to find a man pointing his iPod camera at her. He laughed, and then he got into his car and disappeared. This is not the first nor the last time this man has and will do this. How do I know? I am that man. The how do I know I am the how do I know? Because I'm the one who killed them, or I'm the one who's typing it, or because I'm the one who died from it. I've gotten sick of that trope. By Luke Rules. Now, I will say the whole hacking a thing to keep it linked to a certain way as long as it's connected to the internet, I think that's things that have happened. Sort of like people hacking into your Ring doorbell cameras. Beware, make sure that you've got something fairly secure when it comes to your actual security cameras, because there's people who know how to do some fucked up shit. And you guys don't deserve that. Ironically, I'm wondering if third-party shit's actually safer in some cases, because even though they're lazy, they aren't connected well enough, maybe. I don't know. I don't necessarily know how all this works congruently. But, yeah, things can get hacked, and things can get jailbroke, so that way it can do stuff. Sort of like if you have apparently an iPhone, in order to get Dolphin Simulator for, it's a GameCube simulator. If you want Dolphin Simulator on there, you have to jailbreak it, I believe, so that way you'll download it from a third-party site. I think that's the one, because on Android I believe we can just download it. And then I think we have to get 7-zip, but whatever. Alright. Isolated. Have we ever taken a look at ourselves and wonder why we fear the thought of being alone? We always need to find someone to be with, someone to love us, be it a husband, wife, or best friend. We can never truly be isolated. But what happens when we are? We then immediately try to surround ourselves with other human beings. Like most animals, we travel in packs. We crave companionship. Some people say we can't live without it. This isn't entirely true. You see, some people stay single for the rest of their lives, but even then, they still have friends. But what if you took that all away? What if you take that all away? What truly happens to a person who is truly in isolation, completely alone? Do they cease to be called what we describe as being human, or are they the same? Anyone can try to live completely cut off from civilization, but few have succeeded. Whatever happens to people when you take away what some call the true meaning of life is a mystery. But perhaps you can pull it off. Go somewhere where nobody else goes. Have no contact with family or friends. Maybe some desolate stretch of forest somewhere, and spend the rest of your life there. Just you, the individual, the independent, the isolated. I assume by the Grim Man. Okay. Story time. So, when I was in high school, there was a week where I wasn't able to drive. I didn't have a license. I don't even remember if I had a permit. And I had a Verizon flip phone that scarcely worked. If I tried to text someone, I had a real hard time making sure it even texted to the right fucking person. I texted something to my girlfriend, it got sent to someone else. Even though I was to my girlfriend, now wife withined. So, what have you. I couldn't really talk to anyone. And my dad was out of town for a week. I think... I can't remember what was going on, but he was out... I think in New York? Anyway, I'm left alone for about a solid 6 days. So the first 2 days, I'm completely fine for the most part. I get like a text or two at like 4 o'clock or something that I can get through or whatever. But other than that, I have nothing. And I am not handling it well once it gets to about halfway through day 3, when I'm not able to contact anyone. Now keep in mind, this is very minor in comparison to like true full isolation, because I got pets, I can walk around, I have a concept of time so I can keep up with what's going on, and I know when my dad's supposed to come back and when I'll be going back to school and stuff like that. That's there. I know what's going on. It's like during the summer. So I start to have these weird daydreams that feel like they're out of my control. Post hoc, this is my psyche, I believe, trying to fill in something that I'm missing. Well, so you have my character Dren Hatamata, right? The one you can see in the corner right now. Now, in my image, it's a little different. This is just the art Jorgogo made. But it's effectively a black button-up shirt and some blue jean shorts and black shoes, right? That's what it is normally, and I use Chrono Trigger sprite, and that's why it looks the way he does now. I think that's when I first started having this dream where I was running through darkness. And then I would see these eyeballs, and I recognized what this scene was from a nightmare that Ryudo has in Grandia 2. And I only recognize that enough because now it doesn't have the legs on it, but I do recognize that, so that was familiar. I mean, it didn't make it less creepy, but I had that in mind. And I would also have this at night. I had this dream at night. And as I was running through this path of like eyeballs, it would start to the ground would start to gradually go from black to like this graveyard scene. So there would be grass coming up and a pathway that I'd be running down to, and these graves that were always well neatly displayed. And what I would end up going through eventually was that I'm just running through a graveyard. The eyeballs have now turned to these blue flames. And way in the distance is this tree. And from what I remember, it has a single leaf on it. It's a big sprawled tree, you know, with branches going in somewhat odd directions that curve a little too perfectly in certain spots, and otherwise it's relatively normal. And then there is this black and white native version of me, Dren Hatamata me character. And because I see myself, or I want to see myself as Dren Hatamata, the character that you see on screen, that's my personal image of what I strive to be. What I end up having to do is fight this negative version. I don't know why. So I tried to redraw that, and I got to where I was drawing the eyeballs out. I think I took up way too much of the space, but it was going to be a perspective view of where the center point was, you know, where the tree was going to be, like way off in the distance. Because I also drew another thing where the tree was there, and then an approximation of this black and white negative Dren Hatamata character with, you know, sword out, which of course I use a black medium-sized sword generally. I could go ahead and pull it out, but I don't have a camera to really show you. I don't remember those stains. I need to clean it. But, yeah. But I would have to fight with basically the same swords, and of course, even though I was able to hold my own, well, native version was definitely better than me. And it would never end in me in anything actually dying, even if I get screwed up or whatever. But it was always that they were better than me. I don't know if the dream's trying to tell me something, but that was one of the things that was happening during that time. And I'm trying to remember if that was the same time I had a dream where the nightmare was waking up from it. I've told that dream a couple times. I'm not sure if anyone wants to hear that one right now. Sir, I'm here for the Dren lore. Like I said, it was the daydream that I was having when I was in, like, the closest thing that I had to, like, very strict isolation from anyone. No contact with other people, and, like, that fucks you up. Like, it was like 6 days, I think, maybe 7. Trying to bite my time while I was there. I remember thinking how awesome it was that I'd basically be alone. And then, like I said, about 3rd day, it was like, okay, this is getting old. And shit in my mind started happening, like it was trying to compensate for what was going on. It was bizarre. I'm not fully understood on how exactly that works psychologically, but that's what was happening. I need to find those pictures. I'd actually really like to finish that one with the eyeballs. And I should be able to find the other one where I drew like the names in it. It's a crappy drawing, but the tree is probably the most prominent thing. Said, I don't know if the single leaf has it. It feels like there was something symbolic in it, but I don't know. Tell me of certain insecurities about myself. But I don't recommend actually being isolated if you can help it. Just from my experience, I know there's some people who can handle it, but isolation is Spliffy became stronger throughout the DRUG isolation. Gotcha. That didn't actually show up in chat. Okay, never mind. I gotcha. Yeah, any isolation I wouldn't recommend to anyone if you can help it. From my experience, it's just not something that I think people can really handle on a big scale. And like for me, that was a week of like me still being able to do whatever and watch TV. So it's not like I didn't have access to outside world. Like I said, it was very minor. And that's what it did to me. I guess someone of soft mind, perhaps. Maybe it's added to why I can have so much empathy between people that have had bigger issues than me. But yeah, people crave the human interaction. The ones that can solo this life friggin' worry me. Also, smash. Catching up on it. Yes, yeah. Someone who can actually solo life, I think probably has been through an incredible amount of stuff, and like at the very least doesn't want anyone to have to know enough to be hurt by what they've been through. So you know, it's a bizarre thing. Like, I know I crave human interaction, but I feel like I'd be able to handle more in the age that we have now, whereas this interaction here, I think, is incredible because we don't have to worry about being physically around each other, having to match up dates and shit. We can just talk to each other anytime we want. It's the most easily. Felt that statement, sir. Yeah, we can most easily talk to each other now. So being able to have friends over the internet was something that was never thought of years ago for my friends and I. Not even sure if it was genuine. And if you have online friends, that is certainly genuine. You can have online friends, and that's perfectly valid friendship, so never underestimate that. But again, like isolation, I certainly don't recommend it. Well, this is a short enough one. I think I can fit this one in a clip. Isolation. I sit here in isolation after the great strife amongst all of the desolation. Should I be content for being spared, or should I cry for being left here alone and despaired? I am left only with my own thoughts, having no reason to go on, as I sit near my wife's lifeless body whilst it rots. The governments are in shambles, serves them right. It's all their faults. Thanks to them, my future is far from being bright. Even day is longer than the previous as the bombs continue to drop. I wish that one would hit me so that this nightmare, this state of isolation, can finally stop. Okay, that was a good one. I didn't know that was going towards a Fallout direction. I can't. This is a short enough one. I think a clip. I sit here in isolation after the great strife. Isolation. The future is far from being bright. Even day is longer. Nightmare. This state of isolation can finally stop. This state of isolation can finally stop. There we go. All right. Isolation. Save clip. Okay. Publishing. There we go. I need to start actually doing something with these clips. I need to start posting them somewhere. Come on, don't be food poisoned, Dren. That shit sucks. But a nice day off would be great. Probably not the best way to look at it. It couldn't have happened. Listen, I've got something to tell you all. But you need to swear to God. Post your clips to TikTok. I'm not sure I care for TikTok. I like the short clips, but TikTok in and of itself is just like, I don't know. I'm not sure I want to, because now the short form vertical clips are so widespread that, you know, you can do it on Facebook, you can do it on YouTube, you can do it pretty much anywhere. Since they all actually stay on, all the clips stay on Twitch, I believe. I don't think they go anywhere. So, I don't know. That and having another account. Think about the exposure, bud. Sure. I don't know. I have been thinking about exploring it on like its editor and everything, because I believe it has its own built-in editor. Alright. Couldn't have happened. Listen, I've got something to tell all of you, but you need to swear to God that you will not tell anybody about it. I'm still being tracked down by the people who think I shouldn't have seen what I did. I'm writing about this deep in the woods. For all I know, there is an agent waiting around the next tree. Note, Ben Haunted Mask of Majora's Pasta is indeed referenced in my first pasta, but this has nothing to do with that Haunted Mask of Majora. Alright, that grammar is hard to... It all started many weeks ago. I was out having some fun with a few college buddies of mine. That's when someone started talking about Ben. I can't erase the story of the haunted mask of Majora. I told him to shut up about Ben, and then we hit the streets for a while. That's when he brought up Ben again. I told him to talk about something else. That's when I would have sworn I saw something. I don't know what I saw. It was too slouched to be a human, even a hobo by any standards, but way too big to be a dog or city animal. So I told my buddies that I was going to check it out. That was the first worst idea of my life. So I went into the alley in which that thing ran. I saw it for about a split second, then it was gone. I don't know where it went. I figured it must have had one too many shots of whiskey, so I walked back to where my friends were. I started telling them that I saw something, but it wasn't really there. I looked in the direction they were standing and they were gone. No trace of them ever being there. I got a little freaked, but I just shrugged it off and walked home. After an hour later of kicking some butt on Halo Reach, I decided to hit the hay for the night. That's when I heard the howl. No ordinary howl. The most ear-splitting, blood-curdling howl imaginable. I realized it was one of my neighbor's hounds. They were all inside. And let me tell you, you can't hear anything on the inside of that house if you're on the outside. I saw the thing again. This time I swear I saw it. It was there. It looked at me. It attacked me. 3 months later, there I am in the hospital. I was found to have 3 huge claw marks on my body. But there was something odd about those marks. There was a symbol on them. They called in a military specialist to observe it. They said they needed to put me down. It was an escaped top-secret military project. I was lucky to be alive. Now, here I am, in the forest, alone, but sometimes I think I can see the medium dark figure glaring at me in the moonlight. Fuck. Okay, if you took out the Majora's Mask shit, this would seem like you're a werewolf. That's what it seems like. 3, going through the game. No, none of the masks do that. 3 claw marks. I'm trying to think of the enemies. Skull Kid doesn't do that. Fuck, dude. What the hell? I don't know what it's supposed to be. Alright, so the medium dark figure glaring at me in the moonlight. Unless he's talking about like the effigy of sadness or whatever. I don't remember. I can't remember. I have to play it through again. One day I'll play it on here. It felt so real. Last night, I had a dream. Okay, big deal. Everyone dreams, right? This one is a little different than my usual, though. Ever had a dream that felt real? Like if it was really happening to you, but you watched it in third-person view. You could feel every single movement, every point, every detail, down to the smell. Well, I did last night. Here's what happened. Right before bed, I threw on some Netflix on my Xbox 360, just to fall asleep to. Nothing out of the ordinary. I was curled up in bed, watching American Dad, slipping in and out of sleep. Well, the next thing I remember is me in a dark, dark place. I reached my hands out and felt around. I was in a closet. I could hear noises coming from outside of the closet. I began to feel a slight panic. My heartbeat increased. My breathing became heavy due to being in such a tight place. I don't know what came over me. I Don't know what told me to open the door and run, but I did. I ran as fast as I could to the front door, opened it and ran. I could feel my muscles working, my breathing getting heavier, my footsteps getting slower and slower. Why? Why was I starting to slow down? I kept trying to run. I felt myself break a sweat, getting tired. Then it caught up to me. It pounced me, caught me, threw me on the ground. I tried to fight. I tried to struggle. It kept choking me, slamming my head against the ground, my face hitting the dirt, breathing it in. I could feel his grip tighten, and my body become limp. I wish I could have seen his face, but I couldn't. It was as if I was watching myself on the ground being choked in a third person. It was horrible, watching this thing choke my almost lifeless body. And then I woke up. I was up sweating, breathing heavy. My chest hurt as if there was no air in my lungs. My neck hurt as if a big man was holding my neck, like in my dream, but worse, I could smell dirt. Okay. Nah, I won't talk about that story. I don't feel like that's as relevant. I've had a very realistic story, and like I said earlier, what made it a nightmare was waking up and finding out the reality of the situation and having to come to terms about it again. So at some point I need to make that like an actual story time thing. Oh, fuck. Ugh. It is coming. Run. Faster, you idiot. It's coming. These are the only thoughts crossing your mind as you sprint towards safety. The trees, a bush, whatever will hide you from it. Your friend is the only one with you that knows. Only they know what to expect as you do. The rain, clouds, and fog make the fear all the more real. It's coming for you. It started out as a sunny day with no problem and clouds in sight. Your friend came to your house so you could show him your new pool your family had just recently installed in the backyard. After lots of swimming, splashing, and lemonade breaks, the two of you hatch a brilliant plan. One that couldn't possibly lose in. At the time, it was brilliant. As of your current situation, you're not sure where it went wrong. First, a countdown. And then the chase began. It was exhilarating, but it was just a game, wasn't it? Moving behind a thick tree with age, you try to catch your breath, keeping an eye out for suspicious movement. Suddenly, a flash of light, a panic takes a hold of your mind. It takes a moment to recover and realize that your friend is gone. They disappeared from your side, leaving only footprints running towards the house. You tell yourself repeatedly that it's a bad idea to give chase, but your worry for them causes you to follow. You're at the house now, and only it is there. I won't end like this. Instinct takes over, and you're done hiding. Now bolting into the door of your home. It follows extremely close in pursuit, knowing it's coming in for the kill. You reach out for the door and grasp the handle. Crap! The door's locked. You have nowhere else to run, and you slide down against the door and claim defeat. It catches you, and the game is over. You've been scarred out of your mind, and now you know that it can end the game with one tap on the shoulder. And that's the last time you played tag at night with a flashlight. It was just a game of tag! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Take that! We have subverted your expectations. 22 more minutes. About 20 more minutes, and then I'll probably go ahead and turn in. Or at least stop recording, at the very least. I mean, we've gotten through a lot. Yeah. Got through at least a whole solid page up here. It lurks behind the mirror. What do you think of when you look in a mirror? Is it how you look? That would be the first thought, yes, but do you ever let your mind wander off? Letting you think that your reflection is more than that. No, that's absurd and ridiculous. It's just your reflection, isn't it? Do you get that feeling that someone is watching? Of course not. Your reflection is your image in glass. You automatically trust it that it can't do you harm, but you shouldn't. It's not really you in the reflection, and it can't be trusted. Take a closer look. Focus on what's supposedly you, and if you're keen, you will notice it's messing up in its movements. When you catch this irregularity, do not give any sign that you saw its mistake. Just walk away and act as if nothing happened. If you let it know its mistake, its skin will turn to what looks like burnt leather, the eyes will melt away, and its face will contort into a sinister grin, showing sharp teeth. The background will darken, the only thing visible is what seems to be human flesh that has been stained with blood. The background decorated with entrails, it will be the last glimpse you will see in that mirror before the glass starts to ooze blood. When the mirror is fully covered in blood, a hand will appear through the blood, reaching out to you in a beckoning manner. You know you should not grab it, but you no longer have control at this point. Upon taking the hand, you will feel a sharp pain shoot throughout your arm, followed by darkness. Quickly, upon regaining consciousness, the distinctive smell of blood and sulfur will attack your olfactory senses. There will be only one thing visible, the mirror to reality. Oh, I like that one. It's okay as far as what's written, but I think this could be expanded as like a bit of a lore thing with mirrors. I think it needs like one more, like 4-sentence paragraph that would add to what this one has, because there's definitely a lot of substance here, but I feel like there needs to be just a little bit more. All right. It should not have happened. It was a cold winter night. I lost my home. It should not have happened. I was now homeless, I sighed. I will die. I do not even have a blanket, I said to myself. I was getting sleepy. Seeing darkness, must sleep. I woke up in a room, very dark and ugly. Hello, I said. Anyone there? Oh yes, there is, someone said, deep voice. Why am I here? I asked. That is none of your concern, replied the voice. Your soul will just be eaten. Nothing too bad. Said the voice. Oh God, no, I yelled, seeing nothing. It's over. It should not have happened. I guess. Anyone there? It should not have happened. It was a cold winter night. I lost. It's over. It should not have happened. It should not have happened. It should not. All right. It was a cold winter night. I lost my home. It should not have happened. I was now homeless. I sighed. I will die. There we go. It should not even happen. Oh, fuck. Alright. It speaks to me. Something exists, and it may try to speak. Don't listen. Run. As fast as you can. I fucked that up. It speaks to me. Something exists, and it may try to speak. But don't listen. Run. As fast as you can, but you may not be fast enough. I wasn't fast enough. I guess I should have tried running in the right way. But I ran to it. Its words were alluring. All I wanted. How could I have known that I could? What was I supposed to do? Tell them to run from me? I wanted someone else in our own company. It was tiring. I wanted him. I wanted to go to it, but I couldn't leave its presence. It wanted me to tell people before I left, but I called him too strongly, I suppose. When I speak, I must watch my mouth. I want someone else in our own company. Do speak, but don't listen. Run as fast as you can, but you may not be fast enough. I wasn't fast enough. I guess I should. It speaks to me. Something exists, and it may try to speak, but don't listen. Run as fast as you can. Shit. You may not be fast enough. I wasn't fast enough. I guess I should have tried running in the right way, but I ran to it. Its words were alluring. All I wanted. How could I have known that I could? What was I supposed to do? Tell them to run from? It was tiring. It wanted me to tell people before. When I speak, I must watch my mouth. All right, there we go. Ah. Okay. I think this one's a little too much to do in under a minute. It was never easy. It was never easy coming to terms with the fact that my friend was murdered. I never took her seriously when she would post things on Facebook like, LOL, satanic worshipping session after school, you in? Or even, I shall sacrifice myself to Satan tonight. But it was so much more serious than that. It was so much more serious that when she came to school with the number 666 carved into her wrist, they were still bleeding, for God's sake. During that day, she would write 666 in her notebooks and talk nonstop about her savior, her protector, Satan. During the last day I saw her, she never made eye contact with me, never told me of her plans. She didn't even speak to me. Well, that night, she got a Ouija board out in order to contact her savior. During the night, she finally got to talk to him. I never got why she was so obsessed with Satan. I mean, I once finally made it into her house. She was pleading for me not to kill her. Oh! I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm sniffing what you're shitting. The writer is Satan. Huh. Or is it? Or is it just a friend actually trying to kill her to sacrifice her? I don't know. Oh, that's an image. Alright. Yeah. Maybe I'll do 2 more? Alright. It was never there. I am a very curious person, but today my curiosity put me in my own hell. Lately I've been watching gameplay of The Binding of Isaac, Wrath of the Lamb. The new DLC of the original game. It included new bosses, new areas, new characters, new items, and new enemies. The boss that I found to be the most interesting, however, is the Mask of Infamy character, for two reasons. One, it was the only boss without a health bar, and two, during the second phase of the fight, the mask would become more aggressive and gain a crack in the back of its head, revealing a small figure. I really wanted to know about this figure within the Mask of Infamy, so I did some research on the boss by going to the Binding of Isaac wiki, and here's what I found. The thing inside is not living. There is no real information about it, but I assumed that it was dead. My brain was deflating from all the thinking, so I decided to give it a break and play my copy of Wrath of the Lamb. Strangely, however, it started me on the Necropolis level. It put me right in front of the boss door, so I went in, and I was soon battling the Mask of Infamy. There was no music, however. All I could hear was the realistic heartbeats. I soon entered the second phase, but the mask was more angry and had more cracks in it than before, and it was screaming for the whole remainder of the battle, and the figure wasn't even inside it. I wasn't able to beat it, though. Before I died, the text box appeared saying, "Your answer has appeared in the basement." Then the game went to the normal death animation. After that, I heard a thud coming from my basement. I went to investigate, and to my shock, I saw a hollow Mask of Infamy sitting on the carpet of my basement. There also was a note on the floor in front of it. It said, "Look inside the back." Frightened but curious, I looked inside and there was nothing in it. No figure whatsoever. To this day, the mask is still in my basement. And it's still creepy to me today. But at least I learned about the figure. I learned it was never there. Huh. I haven't played that much of the Binding of Isaac. I ought to play it some. It was there, sitting and watching me. A while ago, when I was brushing my hair, I gave a short glance into the mirror, and when I saw it, it was in the corner of my eye, but disappeared as soon as I blinked. Now it's haunting me. It gives me nightmares, but everything that happens in the nightmare happens in reality. Yesterday I had a dream of my friend dead. His eyes were ripped out of his head, his skin was torn from his bones, and what was left of his bones were crushed into pieces. I hoped it wouldn't happen, but today when I went to school I saw police cars around his house and caught a glimpse of his sobbing parents. In my dream I saw it. It's a dark figure that leaves a trail of sand behind the path it glides across. The same one I found during the morning in my room, and the same one that is in my friend's house. I hate it. It has different names. Some call him the Sandman, some call him the Slender Man, and some don't call it anything. Whomever sees him disappears in one day, and left in their place is a pile of sand that is equal to the body weight of that person, though sometimes it leaves an object that will give you eternal life. I wonder if you could ever be so lucky to receive one of those objects. Remember, they can be anything. Oh, that's interesting. I assume by Arabella. This one looks small enough. Yeah, we'll do one more. Stop on it. It. Josh, Sarah whispered with a soft voice. What if it gets us? Her big brother smirked. It's coming. Oh no. He teased. The oldest of the three siblings glared at his little brother, and then looked warmly at the 7-year-old girl. It won't. They filled their baskets full of scrap food and headed toward the small hut. It was poorly constructed and very odd. They went to bed, and slept peacefully for a bit. Then the brothers were awakened by a shriek. They rushed towards their sister, pointing out of the window. It's out there, I saw it. They looked outside, and a horrible creature growled, its teeth dripping blood. Sarah stood there hopeless, and saw her brothers eaten, and yellow teeth of the creature sinking in their flesh. The creature was then simply named It. Children today play games such as tag or hide and seek, not knowing the dark past, and that it can never be escaped. That's interesting. Nice tag one. As far as I make how easy it is to make tags seem scary. Alright, but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna stop it. I'm tired. I'll rest a little bit before I go to bed. I mean, is 4 hours enough? Some might say so. Let's see. Alright, we started at I Need a Cigarette. We went through 63 of them. So let's see what our final number is. We read 63 stories today. All the way back up top. 1,151. Nice. All right. We are effectively an eighth of the way through, I believe. Yeah. I think that's about an eighth of that bar. Doop, 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 doop. I don't know. Something like that. In any case, we're rolling through a little bit. Well, we're getting through there. So, yeah, I'm gonna put it up now. I mean, we got it there. I'll look into TikTok. I question its security a bit. I imagine it's probably the same as anything else, that you just don't want to you don't want to put in any particularly personal information. But I'm apprehensive. So anyway, we did a lot, and it should be, yeah, so I should be doing this on the 30th as well, 30th or 29th. And all should be well. Wait. Oh, it's past 12. Never mind. No, yeah, 29th. Okay. Understandable, it does. Good stuff tonight, bud. Thanks, man. I was actually surprised. We had a lot of the better creepypastas this time. A lot better stories overall. It looks like we're almost at the end of the eyes. If we went on for another hour, we'd be out of the eyes. But I'll go ahead and turn in and get another couple hundred video streams out of this or something, I guess. Alright. So, thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, whatever the fuck else needs to happen. I don't know anymore. I haven't made actual content in so long. Feel free to take a look at my links in the chat or down below, whatever they may be. You got my Twitter on that dying app. You have my Discord, you can jump in, my Reddit. I got Facebook. I got Blue Sky. That's up there. Let me go ahead and pin that. Yeah. And pin that for a little bit. So that's one that's new. You can find me on Facebook. I'm thinking about deleting the Facebook page, not the profile, but the page, and restarting it. But in any case, yeah, you got my links and all that shiz. Good night, buddy. See you next time. You too. Stay safe. Once again, thank you all for watching. Phil, and always remember, you have potential. Good night.